got loyalty, got royalty inside my DNA. I got killer beats, got war and peace inside my DNA. I got poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA.
Hello, and welcome back to FanFIC Fantasy. Today, we're continuing. What if Ash returned with Legendaries at his side and a harem to protect? By the Lost Brother Grimm from fanfiction.net. In Part 1, Ash lost everything. Betrayed by the people he trusted, separated from his Pokémon, and left for dead. Ash's life was saved by the very beings he once thought were nothing more than legends. But now, his second life is about to begin. With legendary Pokémon at his side, a new family around him, and a power he never knew existed within him, Ash must learn to live again, and discover why his soul was shattered in the first place. The boy who was betrayed is gone. A new Ash is rising. So sit back, relax, and let's continue. Master to Legend, Part 2. Chapter 7. Ash POV, Well, a Volcano. I had just received the Light Stone. But it wasn't asleep like last time.
It was speaking to me.
So, Chosen One, you finally got not just one girl, but 3 that have fallen deeply in love with you. A bond so strong from the moment your eyes meet. The bond which is so strong it has begun to repair your broken soul. I hear the feminine voice of Harem say to me. I start to laugh, and use my aura to talk back to Harem. Yes, but I know you know the truth. Harem, were they right? Am I a fluke? Are all my victories, all my exploits, all my experiences, are they all a farce that were just my extreme good luck? I said to the vast white Pokémon as I held the Light Stone. According to Hao and his memories of that day, my aura had surrounded me and the stone. No, Chosen One. No amount of luck would have allowed you to do what you did. You have 52 gym badges, which I am told is a great feat, especially from a trainer so young. A champion of the Orange Island, a league I have been told is feared as the gyms there have no type specialty. The point of contention that those worthless humans had is that you were using Pokémon that, and I see that day did more damage than even Shalebi realized. Good thing you met those girls. They seem to have restored small pieces of your heart. You're a little more patient since meeting that Lily girl. Your justice is not bad, nor is it too peaceful. You are right where you need to beat up B, and what is this, your humor is restored. That's a lot of time with that Lana girl. She says to me as I realized that all the girls I love have been helping me gain my soul back and helping my aura to grow. But why was that happening? What was my aura so strong for? Was it something to do with all the legendaries appearing before me? I see that you are curious about why your aura is spiking the way it has been. Well, there is an evil presence here in Alola. It's spiking because you can help save the islands. So learn to control it, train hard, and remember there is always someone that loves you. Harem says, as I feel her presence vanish from my head. I thought about it more as well. If it wasn't for my friends leaving me to die in that wood, then I wouldn't have been sent here to Alola. I wouldn't have gotten my girlfriends. I wouldn't have become friends with Hao. I would still be training for the next challenge, the next battle. But I would still be holding my punches, still holding back my power. But since leaving, I no longer held back my battle ability. Defeating Serena's Absol, Mega evolved with a newly evolved Lycanroc that took power, training, and ability. I also now held 9 Z crystals, and each one had been a victory that I did while showing my power. It was truly who I was. I had called to the power, and it had answered. But it's not just thanks to my power either. It was thanks to my team, to my friends, to my girls, my missing pieces. I smile and look at the 3 of them as I leave the trial site. Charizard right behind me still evolved. Did you win, Ash? Lily asks me as I pull out the Firium Z and hold it up for the world to see. You did it. Lana before all 3 rush and tackle me, trapping me under them and hugging me. We all got up from our pile and decided to walk down the mountain. Kiawe came with us as he had to take Salazzle and Marowak to the Poke Center in town. We were on our way back down the mountain when I realized that I just mega evolved myself. I would never have done that around the traders. My aura sprang to life to save me when Max went to stab me, and that was because of my girls. I now had a reason to live. The trial Pokémon following us seemed to pick up on my thoughts and smiled. They probably even knew what Harem had said to me in the stone. We had finally reached the bottom of the mountain. When Kiawe looked back, they pointed to me and his bag. Ash, that fire of yours. I have only seen that from one other trainer, and he disappeared years ago. His name was Sunday. Not a nickname, that was his actual name, and I believe Miss Lily's mom knows who I am talking about. After all, Sun had to save her from a UB. Kiwi says, and I look up. But that Charizard of yours, I have never felt a fire so strong in my life. A bond that strong and that fierce takes years of training and almost if not absolute trust between partners. So, as thanks for showing me that bond, allow me to give you something that may or may not help you as you progress. He pulled out a cat's marble-like stone that had an orange and red eye. I felt the power from the stone and recognized what it was. It was a chunk of, that's Charizardite, why right?
He nods and I look at the stone.
I can't take that from you, Kiawe. This is something that you work hard to find, something that you should use on a Charizard of your own. I say as he looks at the stone and smiles. My partner is and always will be a fire that burns bright. However, Charizard can't handle the power. He may be strong, but our bond isn't as strong as people think, and the fact that neither of you were tired after that power output shows that you two are truly connected. Show those traders of yours the fire within you, and all of the Pokémon you have. Kiwi says, pushing the orb into my hands. I believe you will have closure one day. When that day comes, I want to feel your fire from here, alright? Kiawe says, and I smile. Of course, friend. We shake hands, and he brings me in for a bro hug. He hands me an incubator for the egg, and I store it in my bag. After that, we continue down the side of the mountain. When we got to the bottom, Kiawe looked at my three girls and how. Lana, it's nice to see you finally chose someone to go out with. He says, and Lana looks at me and smiles. Yeah, you're jealous it wasn't you, Kiawe. She says, and then he does the funniest thing I have ever seen. He showed her his ring finger, which normally wouldn't be funny, but what made me laugh was that Lana and Lily looked at Kiawe with looks of absolute. On his ring finger was a black steel band with a custom jewel that was in the shape of a Z crystal. The jewel had a brown half and a red half, telling me that the Z crystals used were rock and fire. This part follows game logic. When did you two get together? Lily yells, looking at the crystal on the ring. About a year ago, she went on a search for UBs and Sun, still couldn't find him. She was distraught, feeling like she had failed as a kahuna and as a friend. I helped her get back on her feet, and then she proposed to me. And I said it, and now life can't get any better. Although the same thing happened when Moon vanished. Well, except the proposal thing. They both have been missing for so long now. He says as I look at the jewel. Kiawe then turns to me, a sorrowful look in his red eyes. Ash, you'll meet my wife later. She is the kahuna of the Akala Island. Be gentle, she has been a little out of it. He says as I nod and give him a salute before I begin to walk out of the park, the others following. When we get outside, Lana points to the other side of the road where I can see and hear the ocean. Let's go there and take a little break. She says, and I nod. Why not? I mean, I don't want to rush through this region, and it would give us some time to get more acquainted with one another. Lily says, and Verity just smiles. But it wasn't an innocent smile, like that of a child who says something that means something other than what they think. No, this was a dirty-minded smirk. Verity, get your head out of the gutter. I say as she looks at me all sweet and innocent, like she didn't just get caught. Yeah, I know what you were thinking. How chuckles before looking towards the tunnel and sighing. Hey, Ash, can I talk to you in private? He says and pulls me to the side. I knew this was never good and went on guard the moment he grabbed my arm. Ash, I think it's time we go our separate ways. He says very bluntly, and I look at him with curiosity. It's not that I don't like traveling with you, but I need to start preparing to become the next kahuna, and I don't want to slow you down. You have a dream, and what I saw on top of that mountain, I need to become stronger. This training will only get in the way of you becoming champion. I nod in understanding and grab his shoulder. I don't mind that you want to travel on your own. Just call me and tell me if you ever want to travel with us again, or if you are in a jam and need some help. He nods, and we bro hug. Take care out there, cousin. We say, and he walks away. I walk back over and begin to feel sad but happy how was gone. Sad because he was my friend and my cousin, but I was happy because he was following his dream to become the next kahuna for Melee Island. He would need to train and travel, as that dream is almost as challenging as mine, and he has quite the shoes to fill. When I get back to the beach, the girls see me looking all confused on which emotion to be. They all had this look of knowing on their face. He talked to you guys already, I say as Lily nods. Verity shakes her head the same as Lana. He talked to me about it the other day after the battle against Misty, where you had the help of Wishawashi and Araquanid. Then when you had that battle with Kiawe, the roar of Charizard could be heard from the police station. Lily says, and I smile. That goofball Charizard of mine was the 4th Pokemon I caught that I have trained since day 1. He has defeated 3 Legendaries and even became the technical king of Charizards. I say as the girls look at me. Ash, how old are you? Lily says, and I pull out my ID. Ash Kukui, age 18 years, 10 months, birthday June 19th. Dexter says, then shuts off. But you walk like you have had more time than 8 years of experience. Lana says, but he's not lying. I had just turned 10 when I met him and my birthday is in May. Verity says as I smile. She knew about Charizard. She knew the hidden power within him. Why hide your power? You told Max that you never went all out in a league match. Why? Lily asks me as I show her a video taken of me facing the Zygardes and how me and Greninja completely decimated them. And that's a year with Greninja. Look at all of my other Pokemon and you will see the power laying dormant in them. I say, and lay back on the sand. So, what's your plan for this league? Verity says as she looks down at me. She has this motherly tone to her. Become champion, get the rest of my Pokemon back, defeat the traitors if they challenge me. Marry all of you, maybe not in that order. I say, and they blush. I look over at the road and smile. There was the fading form of Hao, and I knew he would be okay. He would become stronger, and he would achieve his dream. All right, girls, we should get moving too. We have a lot of ground to cover, plus there is a hot spring near the center. I say, and the 3 of them stand up and walk over to me. I place the egg in the incubator Kiawe gave me, and put it in my bag. So, what's the next trial? I say as I pull out Eevee's Pokeball and call her out. She shakes her head and jumps into my arms. I felt weird carrying her this way. It made me miss Pikachu, and Lily saw it. Ash, you want me to carry Eevee? She asks me, and I shake my head. I need to let go of not having that traitor anymore. This will help me. I say, and she hugs me and Eevee to her chest, and Eevee cuddles closer to her. I smile as she begins to laugh because Eevee begins to rub her head against Lily's neck. I knew she was ticklish, but not that bad. The next trial is for the Grass-type Z-move. Lana says as we walk through a long wooden tunnel. There was a girl who waved to us at the entrance, and then she walked away. Alright, so Tumbeak, Litten, and Saladin might be good. I say, getting my strategy in my head. Lana looks at me and nods, knowing well why I chose those 3. Ah, Mr. Ketchum, what a nice reunion. I hear a voice say behind us and lock up. I turn to see Colress. Behind in his hand was a Pokeball and 5 weird discs. I instantly grab a Pokeball and throw it forward. It snaps open instantly, and Lycanroc appears. Why? He howls as he appears and stares Colress down. Relax, boy. I am not here to hurt you. He says, throw me the 5 disc. These are for Jean's sect. I know you know about them. She should be here eventually to see you. After all, Legendaries have been appearing all over this region. They say they are looking for the chosen one. I only know one person that could be. Colress says as I look at the disc. To change Genesec's type, simply shift one of these discs for the one on her back. He says, turning and walking away. I was still nervous of him, but put the discs away. Maybe he had changed for the better. After all, last I saw him, he was helping restore Unova to what it was before Team Plasma did their thing. Ash, we need to hurry if we want to get to the lush jungle before dark. I hear Verity say, and I turn and run to catch up with the girls. Well, we made it to the Poke Center later than expected, but when we got there we saw a kid in black pants and sweatshirt with a red slash through it. He had blonde hair and had a lichen rock next to him. He had blonde hair and seemed to walk with a purpose. He walks into a hotel room next to the center, and Lily runs after him, yelling a name. I look to Lana and Verity and ask that they run after her. I was about to give chase when a Pokémon jumped on me, knocking me to the ground and pinning me there using leafage on my hoodie, pants, and shoes. It growls a name out that I can't make sense of. Then another one appears, and then a third. The Pokémon stare me down for a moment before a green fairy-like Pokémon appears and gives them a harsh glare. Celebi, what are you doing here? I say as the forest Pokémon turns around and tackles me. She begins to fly around me and sing, then hands me a berry. I eat it and recognize it as the berry from when I met her in the forest. The other Pokémon look at this and decide to do the same. They all approach Celebi and hold out what they can consider arms and hands. Celebi looks at them for a moment before sighing and handing them each a berry. They eat it happily and then start to dance around. So, you guys were just hungry. I say as the Pokémon continue to smile and dance. These berries, as I remember it, used to make even the most unruly of Pokémon become calm and friendly. I turn to the forest Pokémon. She was flying around the trio of Pokémon, each trying to get more berries from her. I looked at the Pokémon, seeing that they were way thinner than most Pokémon in general. I could almost see their bones. I then turned back to Celebi. If she was here, then there was only one reason. Is it time for you to join me? I ask Celebi and she nods, and I pull out a cherish ball. But before I can tap her with it, she pulls out a black stone and hands it to me. The dark stone, I say, and she nods before tapping the ball and being SCK'd into it. The ball pinged instantly and glowed before being transported to the lab. The dark stone lands in my hand and rests there. The other Pokémon look at me with recognition and begin to bow. Hey, you don't have to bow. They stop bowing and look at each other. They all nod, and the weird flower-shaped Pokémon in front releases the attack on me and helps me up. Alright, now that I can see you better, I can figure out what you are. I say and look at each of them. The first one is a Dewpider and is purple and orange instead of light green and blue. Must be its shiny variant. You're a shiny Dewpider, I say to him, and he nods his head. Which means probably since birth you were chased away from the others. Your coloring makes it so you can't blend in with the background much. Dewpider nods sadly, and I just pick him up. Listen here, your differences make you, well, there is nothing to be ashamed of. I put him back down and look to the others and realize that I have no idea what they are. I sigh in frustration. My knowledge of Pokémon was limited to the other 6 regions, but Alola was completely new. The Pokémon I had seen here were often something I was not well versed in. Then an idea comes to mind. I could catch these guys and train them. They look strong and may be able to help me, so why not? You want to join me? I can promise you that you won't go hungry. I say, not that I was trying to deceive them. I really wanted to be a good trainer and a Pokémon master, and to do that without battle. The 3 of them looked weak and frail. They nod and I pull out my Pokédex. Alright, let me see who you are, I say as the dex springs to life. Alright, Flower, you first, I say, and a small green and pink Pokémon walks forward. On top of its head was a flower bulb, and it seemed to move by crawling but was also able to stand. Fomantis, the sickle grass Pokémon. A grass type. Fomantis is nocturnal, and it performs photosynthesis while it sleeps during the day by spreading out its leaves in all directions. Because of the danger of staying in the same location 2 days in a row, Fomantis begins its search for the next day's spot as soon as the sun sets. For Fomantis, photosynthesis is not just a source of energy, it is a necessity to achieve the strength and brilliant coloration of its evolved form. Photosynthesis is precious to Fomantis, and it will fiercely attack those who get in the way of that process. Fomantis excel at long-range attacks like Razor Leaf and Solar Beam. Solar Beam is indeed a powerful move, but since it uses up the energy that the Pokémon has stored through photosynthesis, Fomantis rarely uses it. Dexter says to me, however, the picture for this one was different. The picture showed that Fomantis' body was pink and red, however this one was lime green, and its eyes were a C-form green. You must also be a shiny variant. You are different from Dewpider as you're shiny. Colors make it so you almost vanish entirely in the background. This makes it so your groups leave you behind, because they can't see you. I say as the little one becomes sad. Don't worry, I will help you and never leave you behind. I say as I pull out a Pokeball and tap the Pokemon who is Acicadian. The ball shakes 3 times then pings. The Pokeball then glows white and is sent to the lab. Alright, Dewpider, you're next. I say as I pull out my Pokédex. Dewpider, the water bubble Pokemon. A water bug type. It crawls onto the land in search of food. Its water bubble allows it to breathe and protects its soft head. When it comes across enemies or potential prey, this Pokemon smashes its water bubble covered head into them. Dexter chimed out the information before I tapped the small Pokemon and watched the ball repeat the process that Fomantis did before and watched it glow and return to the lab. Alright, Cutie, you're last. I say, pointing Dexter at the Pokemon. Cutiefly, the bee fly's Pokemon. A bug fairy type. Cutiefly can detect the auras of living things, including people, Pokemon, and plants. They search out flowers by the color and brightness of their auras, and then gather their nectar and pollen. When living creatures are excited, it seems that their auras resemble those of flowers in full bloom. As a result, these Pokemon tend to gather near people or Pokemon feeling particularly happy or sad. Cutiefly mostly live in the fields and meadows on the outskirts of cities, but they sometimes appear in towns and even inside buildings, drawn in by the emotions of the living beings of the community. Dexter says this information. This time the pictures matched. So I had to ask, why was this little one on their own? I shrug it off and decide to ask Kukui about it later. I then tap the Pokemon, and again the ball pings and sends the Pokemon to the lab. I stood back up. This was a crazy night, 5 new captures, and a new Z-move added to my collection. What else could happen? I then begin to head to the center to heal my Pokemon and tell Kukui about the 4 he would have just captured. As I entered the center, I am stopped in my tracks as a girlish screaming like whoever it was being attacked not too far from or at the hotel. I dropped everything I was about to do, and instantly I ran outside and located the source of the screaming. It was coming from a room that is at the very end of the motel strip. Help, someone help. I hear the no-confirmed female person screaming from inside the room. Her voice was scratchy, like it was damaged. That screech from earlier probably hurt her more than she wanted. I summon my aura and smash the door down. Inside I see a girl in nothing but a green bra, a man above her reaching down to her nether region. The girl was crying, tears leaking from her eyes like waterfalls. She looked so helpless, and the guy looked so menacing. The whole scene sets my rage into overdrive. I look to the man now and try to remember some features before whatever I was about to do to him. To my surprise, it was Brock who was the perpetrator, and that just makes me see red. He was in pure shock at seeing me standing in the doorway. He looked me in the eye, and he became nervous. He knew he was screwed from that moment on. From that look, it didn't take much for me to figure out what had happened. I infused my aura into my fist and punched Brock across the room. He impacts the wall, creating a hole that is vaguely in the shape of his body. He slumps down and is silent. I run over to the girl and scoop her up. She starts to thrash about in my arms, but I hold tighter. I ran to the center using my jacket to hide the girl's body from what Brock did to her. I run up to Joy and begin to ask for help. What happened to her? The nurse asks as I place her on the stretcher. We need a RPE kit done on her, as well as Jenny's here now. I say as I leave the center and head back to the hotel room. When I get there, Brock is still in the wall and his Pokemon are trying to get him out. So, you think you have a chance of getting him out without human help? I say, and the Pokemon turn around and shake their heads. Where are my Pokemon your master stole from me? I say, throwing Patience behind me a little. They turn to each other and throw me 3 Pokeballs. I then grab Brock and drag him out of the hole. But I don't stop by just dragging him out. I swing him around and pin him to the wall. I did this so calmly, I was surprised that I hadn't ended his life. Maybe Harem was right, I was getting better. When the officers arrive, they see me pinning Brock to the wall and come over. Thank you, sir. We'll take it from here, she says as I pass him to the officers. They pat me on the back. Officers, I am also pressing charges of grand theft Pokémon and conspiracy to murder. They nodded and walked Brock out. After all that business was done, I walked back over to the center. As I was walking, I realized that I never checked on my girls, so I quickly ran back over and tried to find them. I talked to the manager and found out that the kid we saw earlier was known as Gladion, and he was staying in room 3. I ran to the room, using my aura to move faster. When I finally found the room, I heard Lily's and a male voice arguing. I opened the door and walk in. So there you three are, I was wondering where you went. I say as they all turn to the door. Ash, where have you been? It doesn't matter, we are leaving. Lily says as she, Lana, and Verity lead me to the door once more and drag me to the center. When we got there, all seemed right with the world for a short time. I just sigh and walk over to a PC and start to transfer Pokémon, sending all of my Pokémon to the lab and grabbing 6 to train. The first one I chose was Eevee. I was going to train her to become a Sylveon. I was always curious about fairy types but never actually caught one. The next one I grabbed was Litten. He would help me with the upcoming battle. He was also close to evolving. I could feel it. The next one I grabbed was Rowlet. He was my first Alolan friend, and I felt like he would come in handy. I then chose Dewpider. He may be helpful in the battle as well, with his high agility and protect move. That left me with 2 spots. Ash, you should grab Vulpix. As an ice type, she may be able to handle stronger moves such as Solar Beam and Solar Blade. Verity says in excitement at seeing the little one again. She then walked away, probably to heal her Pokémon. I sigh and select Vulpix as my 5th Pokémon, and who knows, maybe she would actually battle this time. That left me with 1 more slot, so I put the egg there. The others deserve a break from battling, and I also needed to work with all my Pokémon. Excuse me, but are you the one that saved me tonight? I hear behind me and I sigh and retrieve my Pokémon. This was going to be an even longer night. Mallow POV. 20 hours earlier. The Pokémon of the jungle have seemed to be more active than usual. The Fomantis and Lurantis became more active during the day, which was very unusual for their species. The Possimian were training harder than usual, and even going farther to gather food and resources. The Kahuna of the island had called, saying that one of the tribes had even gone to the ruins of life and was training against the Tapu. So today I was sitting in the trees of the lush jungle trial site, focusing on what the Possimian do daily before the strange behavior starts. As fighting types, they were more of a worry to trainers than any of the others. Something that made me worry about the Possimian that had been attacking trial goers was that their troop had seemed to double overnight. Troops of Possimian usually had no more than 10. This troop was always a little bigger than most with 15, but this one had about 30 total since the last visit I had. I had to figure out why. So I was hiding in the trees monitoring the troop to try and find what has been provoking them to attack. There are no trial goers today because of the attacks. The people of Alola were okay with this since kids were usually the ones taking the trial. However, there had been rumors that the new batch of trial goers were 16 to 18 years old. And one was even a legendary trainer from Kanto who went missing for a week. An hour passed of me watching the troop, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. They would travel to the pond, eat mango berries from the trees and bananas, drink from the pond, and even have training battles. But after an hour and a half was when they were alerted to me watching them. My phone went off and drew their attention to me. I silenced it once, but whoever it was called again. This seemed to draw their attention. Pass. One of the simian Pokémon who looked like the leader said as they turned onto me. Knowing that I was pretty much screwed, I picked up my phone and answered it. Hello. I say, a little set off. Mallow, you need to get home. Now. My father says on the other end of the phone as the Possimian got really angry and began to charge towards me. Can't, Dad. Little busy right now. I yell as I jump to the ground and take off towards the caves of the jungle to try and run into Lurantis or maybe Shinnecock. I don't care, Mallow. You need to get home now and help with the restaurant. My father says, then hangs up. Fed up with what my dad said, I ran into the cave and find Lurantis sitting on a nest. I sigh in relief and run over to her and tell the sickle Pokémon about the Possimian. The simian Pokémon who were following me ran into the cave about 10 minutes after me, and I gave Lurantis a command. A right Lurantis used sweet scent to calm them down. I called a sickle Pokémon. When she used the attack, a pink powder appeared in the air and that calmed the simian Pokémon. But I knew this was not a long-term solution, but it was enough for today. After that situation was taken care of, I left for my family's restaurant. The one area I was underappreciated. I would always be given weird jobs. Clean up some kids' puke, break up fights at the bar, kick people out, and cut them off when they've had too much. I own the restaurant and they act like I don't. It took me 6 years to build up the money to buy the restaurant. Then a year later, my family needed a place to stay, and so I let them move in with me above the restaurant. But I made them a deal. They had to work to stay. And I am a nice boss, but I still get treated like a disgruntled employee. I've thought about firing them and kicking them out, but then there is the problem with my parents finding some sob story and telling me they have nowhere to go and that my sister would be out on the streets. That they needed me and that they would miss me, but in reality they needed me to be the disgruntled employee boss and for someone to do the chores because they didn't want to. When I got there, my parents were fighting about something, and my little sister was hiding in the corner. I got angry and walked over to her. I picked her up and took her upstairs. She looked at me confused, and I took her into my room and called out my Lurantis. Stay here and play with Luna, okay, Orchid? I say, and she nods to me. She was only 5, and seeing my parents fight like that could not be good for her mentally. I then turn around and walk back downstairs. Mallow, you're home, my father said as I was about to take off my shoes. We need you to go and deliver an order that's due tonight for steak and broccoli. We also need you to pick up cleaning supplies, and you also need to do the grocery shopping while you are out. My mother said as her and my dad began to fight again. I just sighed and left the house, slamming the door behind me. Now don't get me wrong, I love my parents, but like I said before, I am being treated like a disgruntled employee. Now some of you are freaking out on me now, but I only told you the normal stuff I do for them. There is also the cleaning of their rooms. I am not even home most of the time. I am either at the site or training or at Olivia's. She lives in an apartment on the other side of town and above a jeweler shop. When I got done delivering the order, it was getting late, and so I went to the site to check on the Pokémon and see if those Possimian were doing okay. When I got there, I heard a male voice yelling about being trapped in the cave. I walked towards the cave, and when I got close, I saw the Possimian all fainted and some even poisoned, and saw an African male standing over Lurantis as he moved towards her with a Pokeball in his hands. Cry out, you useless Pokémon, cry out to let that captain know you're in trouble. That's when I had enough and rushed the trainer. However, I felt a psychic presence in my mind, and then the world went black. When I came to, I was in a hotel room strapped to a bed by some kind of cloth. I tried to move, but the restraints were too strong, and I only injured myself more. I wouldn't move if I was you. Those restraints are strong enough to hold a Macamp. I hear the male voice from before say as he steps forward. I tried to speak, but no sound came out. I could only squeak. Yeah, figures you would try to talk. Don't want that now, do we? Also, I had Crobat poison your nervous system. Not enough to kill you, but enough that your body can't respond very well. The male voice says again as he moves over and starts to remove my clothes. I could feel that the poison had already begun to wear out, but how much longer till I could scream? As he removed my pants, he also removed my panties in one fluid motion. He moved towards my southern point and began to caress it. I tried again to scream, only for nothing to come out. I kept trying over and over again, and until, finally, an ear-splitting scream resonated. The pain from the scream was too much, and I stopped resisting only to hear the sound of wood breaking and a wall cracking. I feel someone pick me up, and so I begin to thrash about trying to get from their grip, how they got the restraints off, and why they were moving me. I hear a zipper zip, and feel something cover me up and feel as the person runs towards the center. I became catatonic and passed out. When I came to, I was in the hospital ward of the Poke Center with Officer Jenny's asking me questions, and one of them running a RPE kit on me. Not a cop, not speaking from experience, just took basic justice in high school. Everything is going to be okay, one says as she takes more samples. After about 2 hours, everything was finally over, and I was released. They gave me clothes so I could cover up, and I was sent on my way. I went to the forest and found the Passimians awake and alert. So I left and went to the Poke Center. The boy who had saved me was transferring Pokemon and talking to a brunette girl. I walk over and clear my thoughts. "Excuse me, but are you the one that saved me tonight?" I ask and he sighs. This was going to be a long night. Ash POV present. "Did you save me tonight?" the girl asks in a demanding voice. I was sitting in my change, completely focused on her. She was wearing my jacket and seemed to hold it closer to herself for comfort. "Yeah, I saved you," I say as I stand and walk away. What I just saved her from being raped, and that's all that came to mind. I didn't know if she was unstable or if she was upset with me because she was a strong, independent woman. Yeah, that's happened before. As I left the center, I began to jog. I needed to find a place to train, maybe even hatch the egg, and see what it is. As I run down the road, I pass a lake where Reiku is sitting with Suicune and Entei next to him. In front of them is a black stone that Reiku is standing next to and guarding. I walk forward, and the three of them rush forward and tackle me. Entei was even liking me. "Hey guys, long time no see," I say as I pull out 3 Cherish Ball. "Alright, I guess you want to join me." They all nod and each taps a ball with an appendage. Reiku his tail, Suicune her crown, Entei his paw. The 3 ball bing and are transferred to the lab. The stone, on the other hand, began to glow electric and plasma blue. I then felt the heat from the light stone in my bag, so I took it out and placed it on the ground next to the other stone, and they both began to glow in repartition with each other. There was a moment when nothing happened, then the 2 stones floated out to the center of the lake and fire and lightning began to dance across the stones. Then there was a flash. When the flash died down, the 2 stones and the water from the lake were gone. The Pokemon living there had traveled out to the ocean for safety when the 2 started their revival. At the center of this big lake that was now empty were the 2 legends of Truth and Ideal. The deep black Pokemon stood first, letting anything within the area know of his presence by letting off his Terravolt ability. He stood taller and walked over to me as Harem did the same as he did. She stood and let off her Turbo Blaze. I walked forward and met them in the middle of the crater. Pulling out 2 Cherish Ball, I tapped them both on the chest and they were SCKDN. "Welcome to the family Legendary Pokémon of Truth and Ideals, Harem and Zekrom." The 2 ball flowed white and were transported to the lab. "You're the chosen one," I hear someone say behind me as I turn and see Sillin and Iris standing behind. They see me and realize who I am and both instantly go on the defensive. "Listen, Ash, we thought it was in the best interest of you so that you no longer had to deal with the heartbreak of loss," they say, and I growl. "Give them back," I say through gritted teeth. They both pull out 3 Pokeballs and place them on the ground. "Take yourselves to the station, turn yourselves in." I have a personal hatred for Sillin, so he may come back later. They both began to back away and took off. I grabbed the Pokeballs and they all flowed white and were transferred to the lab. 6 more regained. "So you are the missing trainer, the one whose friends abandoned him," I hear the girl from before say, as I instantly have a Pokeball in my hand. "Hold it there, Slick, it's just me, the girl you saved earlier," the green-haired girl says to me. "Sorry, you just startled me," I say as I return the Pokeball to my side. "It's fine, I snuck up on you," she says as I pull my hat over my face and walk past her. "Hold on," she says and grabs my shoulder. Then we both collapse to the ground in a white haze. Ash POV. The mist spread around us, and then there was a glow. I felt weightless, then I felt gravity take control and weigh me down. "Welcome, chosen one. Now prepare to die," I hear a voice say as I grab Mallow and push her behind me. I tried to look around and realized that I was in total darkness. "Necrozma," I say as I begin to panic. I thought I would have more time. No, I needed more time. I wasn't ready to face him. "I can sense the light in your pocket," I hear him say as I realize I had to throw my Z-ring and crystals to buy me and Mallow some time. "Mallow, if you have a Z crystal on you, pass it to me slowly," I whisper to her as I feel her move her shoulders and hands towards mine. I breathe in and move my crystals to my hand. Slowly, no need to draw more attention than was needed to us. Stop moving them, no matter what you do. I will always know where you are. I hear him say again. The corruption must have quickened his breakdown, his need for Solgaleo and Lunala. I release the breath I was holding. I trigger my aura, the entire area glowing in the azul color. I see Necrozma as he moves, floating about 2 feet above the ground and 6 feet from us. I can see Necrozma as well, and I must say, I am not afraid. That was a lie. I was panicking because I had an innocent person with me. I couldn't let her get hurt. I see him move behind me and instantly spin us around and face him again. You are smart, Chosen One. I knew that I liked you. Necrozma says as he begins to charge up an attack. Power Gem. I say in shock and grab Mallow's hand, running as fast I could away from the psychic type. When I get close to a wall, I quickly change directions until I hit another wall. There is nowhere to go, Chosen One. I hear Necrozma say as he gets closer and closer. I begin to feel my panic start grow larger and larger, almost making me lose control of my aura. Mallow, whatever happens, know that I would have been your knight. I say as I hand her my Z-ring and Pokémon. When you get back, tell them I did what I could. I say as I take a step away from her. She grabs my hand and brings me into a deep, passionate kiss. I feel stronger as a green aura spreads across me. I feel the others react to this new aura: patience, kindness, humor, justice. They fuse together, surrounding me in a multicolored hue that seemed to make Necrozma flinch back. Almost like he was scared. Ash, I just wanted to say thank you for everything you did for me. Saving me from that man, making sure I was okay, throwing yourself in front of me to make sure Necrozma couldn't hit me. She says as I smile at her. Just stay behind me. I say as I turn and face off against Necrozma. I just needed to buy time until Arceus realized where I was. Necrozma, you know it is not time for this. I hear a voice that was definitely not the alpha Pokémon says. A portal opens, and Dialga floats into the area. Chosen One, we are sending you back to the human world. Travel with care, Chosen One, and watch the sky. If the stars turn red, hide. We will arrive shortly. We were then pushed through a blue and pink portal and arrived at the lake once more, just like it was before the fog bank appeared. I sigh and lay down on the grass. Too much happened in the past 3 weeks. It has almost been a year since I was brought here to Alola. It had been 5 months since I started my journey. Since I started dating Lily. 2 months since I started dating Verity and Lana. And an hour since Mallow started dating. I sigh as I continue to lay on the ground, completely focused on the sky in front of me. You know, for someone who is able to scare Iris and Killian, you sure aren't acting like you are training. I hear behind me as I stand back up and instantly have a Pokeball ready. Relax, not here to hurt you, just wanted to let you know that I am completely behind you in this. Trip says as he walks over to the grass next to me. You know you could have come to any other city or region, why Alola? I hear someone else say, as Paul and Alan walked over to where I was with Trip. None of us are against what you are doing, Ash. None of us are ready to see your light for that dream to fade away. You have a great mind and an endless talent. Those traders were wrong about you. Oh, and we brought you some Pokémon that were still in training in our regions. Paul says as 6 Pokeballs are passed me. Butterfree, the one you had to release for the mating Beedrill, you know the one you captured in Johto in the bug contest, Tyranitar that was the Larvitar you hatched in Johto, Absol, the one you met in Hoenn that the villagers tried to kill, and the unknown G you met in Johto. The 6th one is from a person in Kalos. She said that you will know what it is about. I hold the Pokeballs and then throw them forward. They all pop open, revealing the powerful Pokémon from inside. My Butterfree looked at me and instantly flew down and hugged me. Hey there, big guy. Been a long time. I take it that mating is over. I say, and he nods. I feel a familiar aura in the Pokeball that was from the Kalos region. It was definitely something that could use aura. I enlarge the Pokeball and throw it forward. It snaps open to reveal a Lucario, standing before me with what would be normal blue skin that was black, and where black would be was white. The only normal thing about this Lucario was that it had its normal yellow underbelly. Even the metal spikes in its chest and paws were a different color, blue almost like cobalt blue. Cornus sent you, didn't she? I say as I see a black and electric blue mega gauntlet on his right arm. We are going to need to train together, learn to bond like me and Greninja do. He nodded and I pulled out the Pokeballs and returned them all. Well, with the exception of Lucario. Lucario, I will be going back to the lab within the next couple days. We can train there until it's time for the trial, and we can also work with the other Mega Evolvers to hopefully one day be able to reach perfect Mega Evolution for each of you. He nodded to me and I returned to him. Once ownership of all Pokemon were transferred to me, the Pokeballs glowed and were sent to the lab. Then we all sit down and stare at the lake ahead of us. Not even 24 hours ago, it was dried up from the awakening of Zekrom and Harem, but now it is full again. Tapu Lele must have asked the water types in the area to fill it for her. Ash, I heard from the League in Kanto that Giovanni died last month, murdered by one of his underlings, meaning that Giovanni is no longer after you. But with that comes a warning. Giotto has seen Proton working in the radio tower again. A new recruit to the team was seen last month in Celadon City. Maybe working from the old rocket base, there seems to be a lot of power from the city flowing back to the old place.
Paul says.
I nod in understanding and continue to stare at the lake. Oh, and I have a present for you, Harrison says, reaching into his pack. Blaziken had a litter of Torchic, well-laid eggs. Anyways, I was told to give this one to you, he says as I pop the Pokeball open. As it opens, there is a sparkle and then a flash of light, and a baby Torchic appears in my hands. It let off an adorable cheep and rubbed its overly large head into my arm. I stroked him, and he continued to cheep in excitement. Thank you guys. At least I know what Ligia told me is still true, I say as I stand up and walk over to the sleeping Mallow. I carefully pick her up and place her gently on my back. I need to get to the Poke Center, and I need to get my Pokemon prepared for the Grass-type trial. We'll have to have a battle after the championship. They all nod, and I flash them a smile as I begin to run towards the Poke Center. Not full sprint, but enough so to call it a run. Once at the Poke Center, I explained that we were training a little too hard for what she was used to and she collapsed in exhaustion, but that I still wanted her to be checked out for anything that could be worse than that. Also explaining that we were attacked by a psychic type that attacked her directly. After I made sure that she was alright and checked in, I left the desk and went over to the PC. I began to select my team for my battle against the Grass-type trial. I start with Saladin, she's a poison fire type, then Litten and Vulpix, they are a good team. I also grab Greninja, Charizard, and Sceptile, just in case a traitor shows up. 2 weeks later, we all walked into the jungle, where I saw a giant Lurantis. It looked at me and made me bring it in motion. I smirk at it and grab my first Pokeball. Shake the ground, Saladin. I yell out as the Pokeball snaps open. My salamander Pokemon appears on the ground in front of me and lets off a hiss. Lurantis crouched down and growled at her opponent. She then sped forward with a Fury Cutter. Saladin, use Poison Fang, trap her arm. I yell out as Saladin follows the command. Poisonous Fang gleams across her mouth as she catches the Grass-type arm in her mouth. Flamethrower now, I yell as I see crimson-red fire spew from my salamander Pokemon's mouth, covering the Mantis Pokemon's arm. Lurantis screamed in pain before flinging Saladin against a tree. Saladin, if you can still fight, Dragon Rage now, I yell as my salamander Pokemon gets up and rushes forward, glowing purple flames sprouting from the mouth. Alright, here we go, I yell as I feel a fire in my belly. It was igniting, flowing through my soul and into my heart. Lurantis planted its petal-like arms into the ground and made a glowing green barrier appear around the petals. Since when does it know protect? I heard Mallow say as my aura began to glow, increasing the fire in my belly. Saladin, shake the ground. Flaming, poisonous Fang. The salamander Pokemon ignited its poison fangs, biting down on Lurantis' protection, shattering the barrier, however seeming to take backlash damage. Saladin, you did good, but return for now, take a nice long rest, I say as my salamander Pokemon returns to my side. Alright Pikachu, let's rock and roll, I yell out, only for nothing to happen. Right? No Pikachu, alright. Vulpix, dazzle them. I yell out as I throw my fox Pokémon forward. She appears in a flash of light and sparkles. I feel a flash freeze coat my aura as I feel the bond between me and Vulpix spark to life. Lurantis seems to jump back and lets out a howl. Halfway there, got it. I murmured, had to remember not to get confident now. Vulpix, blind her dazzling gleam. I yell out as my fox Pokémon's eyes gain a bright flash of color to them, then a bright flash of light surrounds her. Lurantis seems to back away from Vulpix, trying to get out of the light. Frost breath at her feet. I yell out as Vulpix cuts the light and fires the freezing cold wind at the feet of the opponent. Lurantis was faster, however, and jumped back to get away from the damage. To Lily and gang. He's smart, but why did he call out for a Pikachu? Ash doesn't have a Pikachu. Mallow says as the other three look away in slight sadness. Mallow, Ash suffered something a little over a year ago. People he called friends tried to kill him, stole his Pokémon. He lost a starter as a traitor. His starter was a Pikachu, and that rodent had the nerve to think he was stronger without him. Verity says as she gets a look in her eyes. Verity, he has grown stronger because of that. Lily says as they all turn back to the battle. Look at him, he's bonding with his Pokémon all the way through his aura, reaching out with each battle, building the courage. He will claim his rightful place amongst the champions. Lana says as her Z-crystal begins to glow. Mallow and Ashes do the same, glowing blue, green, teal, and yellow. He is powerful. You can feel it in every movement, thought, and action. Lana says as Vulpix is switched out and Ash grabs another Pokeball. Shake the ground, Lyn. Ash calls out as he throws a new Pokeball forward. Back to Ash. I call out Litten. I knew that this Pokémon was pure grass type from the Pokédex, so keeping Litten, Salandit, and Vulpix in rotation was a good idea, with help from flying and bug types as reserves. Litten, keep her on her toes, flame charge. I yell out as Litten rushes forward. However, Lurantis met the charge with a protect. Litten, use your moment to change directions, go up and over. Lyn followed command and jumped off the ground in front of the barrier and landed behind the Mantis Pokémon. Flamethrower now. I yell out as Litten fires the attack off, flawlessly. However, once more Lurantis met the attack with a move of her own. Her arm begins to glow with green solar energy, then with a violent slash, and slashes through Litten, creating a large explosion of dust and sparks. As the dust clears, Litten and Lurantis are both panting. Weakness seems to be in their legs and arms. Then Litten seems to roar, letting the noise of its ancestors out. He was then surrounded in a blinding light and seemed to grow bigger. All right, here we go. I say as my aura seems to spark as well. Torracat. Torracat says once the light fades away. Torracat, Fire Fong, make it count. I say as Lurantis seems to become agitated. Her assistant Pokémon had long since fainted. A Trumbeak had fainted during the fight with Vulpix as collateral from the dazzling gleam. She once again calls out for help. Something responds, and a cast form appears next to her. It fires off a sunny day, and the entirety of the lush jungle is surrounded in a heat. Torracat used the heat flamethrower. I yell out as Torracat makes flames that are blue spew from his mouth. This is not Inferno. This is just stating that the flames of flamethrower were risen enough to be blue. Blue is one of the hottest known colors of fire and tends to go straight to third-degree burns. Lurantis screams out in pain and falls to one knee. Torracat, switch out. Gotta let the others take down the cast form. You did amazing. I say, returning my friend to his Pokeball. Salandit. Feel like getting back into the fight. My salamander looked at the cast form before nodding. All right, get in there. I say as she runs forward. Salandit, toxic, play to your strength. I say as she begins to spit purple blobs of poison at the cast form. The cast form seems to have taken back the attacks. He wasn't expecting the salamander. Quick while he is in confusion, Venoshock. I say as Salandit begins to shake her tail and fire off small orbs of poisonous energy and hitting the cast form. Let's this now, Salandit. I say as I switch out my Z-crystals. Arms across chest, to the side, cross in front. Arms to the side. Raise them up twice like a rising flame, then forward as if pushing the energy forward.
Call out the attack.
Inferno Overdrive. I yell out as Saladin makes a small amount of flames appear in her mouth, only for a larger ball of fire to appear above her, held there by her mouth. Throw it. I call out as I fling my arm forward. Cast Form, who wasn't ready for what came next. The ball of fire rushed forward, completely covering the weather Pokémon. When the fire died down, both me and Saladin were panting, both tired, from pushing out all into this battle. And that's the trial. I hear Mallow say as she steps over to me. She pulls me into a gentle kiss as I stand back up. Well done, my Aura Knight, she says as Lurantis stands up. She walks over to me and places the Z crystal in my hand. She has agreed that you are a powerful person and deserve the Gracium Z move. And I allow you to move on to Olivia and her rock types, but know that unlike Hala, our Kahuna is as tough as the rock type she trains. Mallow says as I return Vulpix and Saladin. Lily and Verity run over to me and hug me. Lana came over a little later with the egg. She passes it to me and I hug it close. It has started to move. It may be close to hatching, Ash. I nod as I pull her into the hug, kissing her lips as I allow the aura that they helped regenerate to flare. Before I take on Olivia, however, I think it's time I went home and trained for a little bit. After all, I have a lot to learn about my Pokémon. I say as Mallow looks at me. I'm only going back to Melee Island. You want to come with? I ask her, and she nods. She seems to be super happy about this and even seemed to be ready to go at that moment. The Kahuna Challenge is in 2 weeks, so that should be plenty of time to get prepared, but let's take a trip back to Kanekoni. She says. I nod and begin to gather up the rest of my gear, as well as the rest of everyone else's. After we made sure we were all set, the gang and I took a trip to the Poke Center to heal out Pokémon and rest up for the night. And the next morning we were up bright and early and began our trek to Kanekoni City. We walked down Route 4 past the entrance to the Brooklet, where I fought Misty and received the Whiterium Z crystal. I pull out a Pokeball and hold it in my hand. I really need to get a list of my current Pokémon. I say as I hold the Pokeball. Dexter system. Online. Checking current Pokémon. I hear something from my backpack. I take it off and open the pack. Current number of Pokémon, unable to calculate. Ash Ketchum has lost trainer's license and therefore no longer has the ability to train Pokémon. I hear my Pokédex say as it finally powers down, the Rotom link to it being forced from the device. Well, looks like the weakling can no longer train Pokémon. I hear someone behind me say as I turn and see May and Dawn standing back to back. I almost wished they would start the Team Rocket theme. It was almost too similar. What do you two want? I say, as with a normal voice. I was calm. That was good. After all, after these two, there were only 2 left. Oak and Tracy didn't have any of my Pokémon, but they still needed to fall. Oh, heard from my brother you were here on the islands. Very much alive. May says in a cocky tone. I smirk. So, they wanted some of the action too. That tells me what you're doing here, not what you want. I say in a calm, confident tone. Well, we wanted revenge for the others. A lot have fallen to your hand. We just want to make sure we clean up their mistakes. Dawn says as I grab a Pokeball and enlarge it. Hope I can still bond with this guy. Oh, it's a battle you want. Well then, it's a battle you'll get. May says as she grabs a Pokeball and does the same. Blaziken, Sparkle. She says as I launch my Pokeball forward. Greninja, show them our bond. I say. Both Pokeballs snap open and the Blaze and Ninja Pokemon appear on the field. Don't count me out, Ash. Mamoswine, dazzle him. I hear Dawn say as she throws her Pokeball forward. He also has a partner, Cretin. I hear a male voice behind me say. The voice is male and sounds like it is from the island. Show them our fighting spirit, Incineroar, end this quickly. I then put it all together. Cross. I say as I turn and see the fire-haired champion of Kanto. He has his champion gear on and a mega ring on his right arm. On his left is a Z-ring with an Incinium Z attached. He tips his hat to me and we both get into combat stances. Alright, Ash, call it. I hear Dawn say. Heads. Back to Sinnoh rules. Got it. No Mega Evolution and no Z moves fine by me. Heads. I say as I see her flip a coin on her watch. Heads it is, you go first.
She says, as I just smirk.
Greninja, let's go. I say as I let my aura flare. I see him do the same, and I feel the connection be made. I open my eyes and see a water tornado turn into energy and form into the water shuriken that forms on Greninja's back. The red mark on his forehead was a sight for sore eyes. Alright, here we go. Incineroar, Cross Chop, focus on Blaziken. Cross yells out, Greninja, Water Shuriken, focus on Blaziken. I say as both fully evolved Pokemon fire off the attacks, Incineroar rushing Blaziken, trapping him in an undodgeable attack pattern that Cross was famous for. With each Cross Chop, Incineroar stayed within Blaziken's defense the entire fight. Blaziken break free and grab the Shuriken. May says in a calm manner, I just smile and watch as Blaziken uses Fire Punch and knocks Incineroar back, then grabs Greninja's Shuriken. Greninja, freeze it. I say as Greninja shots an ice beam from his mouth. The beam hit Greninja's Shuriken and began to freeze the Shuriken, allowing the ice to creep up Blaziken's arm. Incineroar, change targets and use flamethrowers. Take Mamoswine down. Cross says, Incineroar doing the command, as a crimson flame was shot from the Pokemon's belt. Mamoswine, ancient power, hit that cat and knock him out. Greninja, cover Incineroar, use Grass Knot, knock Mamoswine down. I say as my ninja Pokemon summons small amounts of grass appear beneath the mammoth Pokemon. As the giant Pokemon went to make an attack, it slid and collapsed onto the ground. End this all now, Incineroar, let's go. I see Cross and Incineroar get into a new stance, Incineroar, crouching in front of Cross. I see both cross their arms and perform a Z-move stance that I didn't recognize. Can't remember the motions for Incinium Z. Malicious Moonsault. Cross says as both him and Incineroar are covered in a dark Z energy, and I see Incineroar punch the ground causing cracks and a boxing arena appear, and then I see the wrestling cat jump and land on the pole of the outer left corner. He then jumps from the top of the pole and lands on top of the mammoth Pokemon. It's out. Mamoswine is unable to continue. Mallow says as Dawn returns her mammoth Pokemon. Alright, Piplup, give me a hand. Dawn calls out, throwing a purple and white Pokeball forward. Her penguin Pokemon appears in a flash of ice and a flash of blinding white light. Greninja, take out Blaziken, Night Slash. I yell out and watch my ninja Pokemon rush towards the Blaze Pokemon. I see nothing but darkness, then I see Blaziken get hit twice by Greninja, using a black and red blade. My vision returns to normal, well as normal as I can get. After all I was seeing through his eyes. I hear Blaziken scream in pain, then something hit the ground. Blaziken is unable to battle. Mallow says as May returns the Blaze Pokemon. 1 down, 5 to go. Alright Greninja, switch out, back to me. I say as Greninja jumps back, next to me. Shake the ground. Sylveon. I say throwing my latest Evolution out. I plan to give him 5, 1 for each region he failed to get 1 in. Kanto and Johto count as 1 here as both EVs as far as I can recall come from Bill. Freeze him Glacian. May yells out throwing her Evolution out. Sylveon Misty Terrain. I call out. Mist seems to pour onto the battlefield covering the entire field, then a flash later, the field was covered in a bright pink light. Glacian, Ice Beam, hit Sylveon. Sylveon, protect, then use Nature's Gift on Piplup. Incineroar, Flamethrower on Glacian. Cross says as Incineroar follows the command. All 3 Pokemon fire off the attacks. From this point on, listen to you say run from My Hero Academia. Everything happened so fast. Glacian's Ice Beam hit the Protect and formed a beautiful wall of ice the Sylveon stood on top of to fire off the Nature Gift. The attack hit Piplup, becoming Moonblast. Piplup not expecting that, wasn't ready for the amount of power that and fainted from the attack. Incineroar fired off the flamethrower and took out Glacian for double damage. Piplup and Glacian are both unable to battle. Mallow yells out, Sylveon, return for now. I am going to need you later. Incineroar, you have done a good return for now. Cross and I say returning out Pokémon. Lycanroc, shake the ground. We say in unison. Both of our Lycanroc appear, in a flash of light. Togekiss, Venusaur, Spotlight. The girls call out their last Pokémon. Here you go, Ash, you are going to need this. Cross says as he hands me a Z-Crystal that was orange. Rotom Dex, restore HP with Roto Restore. Cross says as both of our Lycanrocs and surrounded in a green energy field. Follow my movements, Ash. We are taking them out in one move.
He says.
Wait, does your Lycanroc know Stone Edge? Cross asks me. Yeah, taught it to him for a little extra power. Just curious now, follow the leader. He says to me as I get into my stance. Cross over the chest, to the sides, cross in front. Both Lycanrocs are surrounded in Z-energy. That seems way bigger for some reason. I look over at Cross and see that he isn't surrounded by Z-energy, then I remember that he already used his Z-move for the battle. It's the Lycanroc movements, can't remember how it goes. Now call it out, Ash. Splintered Storm Shards. We say the last bit together. Both Lycanroc are covered in both Pokémon Howl to the sky, and then we watch as the earth beneath their feet begins to break apart. A single platform rests beneath their feet and the feet of their opponents. Then I look up and see 20 to 30 different gigantic rocks all floating above the platforms. I then do the only thing that seems right. I bring my hands together in front of me, like a wolf biting its prey. Stop listening now. The stones all slam into the opponents, completely destroying the opponent's life bar. As the move comes to an end and the battle is called, May and Dawn return their Pokémon and fall to their knees. They were now afraid of the power I now showed. I want the Pokémon you have returned to me, the ones that you stole. I say as I walk over to them. How did you know we stole them? Dawn says in a questioning manner, bringing out 3 Pokeballs. These are your Pignite, Noctowl, and Heracross. I tried to train them, but they refused to listen to me. I started to feel bad after you disappeared. I took care of them, cried, I never meant for you to die. I just didn't want you to have your heart broken.
Dawn says to me.
Then everything stops. I then see a flash of blinding light. Chosen One. She speaks the truth. She never actually stole Pokémon like Gary. She is still a friend and seems to view you as a brother. Her mother recently died in a car accident, or so the reports say. I can't give you all the answers. Help her return to the light. I hear Arceus say, as I see his form come into sight. I will Arceus think.
You.
I say as I am teleported back to the battlefield. Dawn, I know you never meant harm, so please stand back up. You have done nothing wrong. I say as she begins to cry. She stands up and brings me into a hug. I heard what happened to your mom. I am so sorry. I say as she cries even harder into my arm. Dawn, I am going to pass you over to Mallow, the girl with the green hair. Talk to her. She will help you calm down. I say, passing her over to Mallow, who sat her down and hugged her. I hear her still crying. May I want them back now. Trust me when I say that I will always find you. I say in a menacing tone, letting my aura turn to a dark purple. I don't know what you're talking about, she says in denial. I let my aura flare, making illusions of the surrounding area, crumbling. I learned this trick last month from Sabrina. She came for a visit. I also got my Haunter back from her. I know you are lying to me. I want the Pokémon you have, the one you stole from me. I say as I continue to let my aura rage. All right, just stop. She says, handing me the Pokeball. This is your Kalava. It was the only Pokémon left in the cases that we had. She says as she hands me the Pokeball. I let the illusions fall. You and your brother tried to kill me. Brock attempted to RPE my jungle girl. Serena forced my Pokémon to evolve. My mother tried to make me give up. Oak revoked my license.
Tracy used me.
Tell the last of you traitors that I am a force of nature, on that was never called. You all created a monster by simple shattering my soul. Gary and Dawn were the only ones innocent. I hope the other traitors are ready for me to bring hell upon them on this earth. Because me and my Pokémon are not afraid to do so. Not anymore. I say as my aura vanishes from me. When I was done with the speech to May, Officer Jennings appeared and arrested the girl. When they went for Dawn, I put my hand up and shook my head. She is innocent. Here is a list of others who are guilty, however. I say, handing them a list, and the Jennies tipped their heads and put her in the car. That night, Dawn went home. Well, to what was left of her home. Call me if you ever feel lonely or need help. I will be there in a flash, literally. I say as she hugs me and gets onto the plane. I turn to my girls with a smile on my face. Let's head to Melee. It's time that we hung out and trained. I say as we leave and walk over to the boathouse. All the while, the girls asked me questions. Like, why was I only now going back and training my Pokémon? Simple, really. I need a little bit of a vacation. I say, and they just smile. Narrator POV. Ash has just completed the Akala Island trials, but now he has to face the Kahuna in 2 weeks. But why doesn't Ash have a trainer's license anymore? Find out when the journey continues. We arrived in Coney City, and the first thing I do is get dragged to Lana's house. When we get there, the first thing I see is a giant of a man staring at me. You must be Montauk, Lana's father. I say as I let my aura flare in my eyes. Teal flames liking around my iris. And who might you be? He says as I step back a little. I am the boy that is dating your daughter. This started a whole new confrontation. And did I give you permission to do so? You don't look like much, and my daughter only deserves the best. He says as I grab a pokeball off my hip. Why don't I show you? I say as I growl. Now he was doing something stupid. We got to the Poke Center and took our spots. Poliwrath, take the stage. Get this over with. Montauk says as I smirk and grab a different Pokeball off my belt. Greninja, show him our bond. Both Pokemon appear and seem to stare each other down. Poliwrath, waterfall. Greninja, dodge, then grass knot. Grass leaves sprout out of ground and drag the toad Pokemon down. Follow it up with an aerial ace. I say as Greninja spins around and slash through the toad Pokemon with blades made of wind. Poliwrath, if you can still fight, surf. Montauk says as I smirk. Poliwrath doesn't move. Poliwrath is out. Green side, choose the next Pokemon. Mallow says as Montauk returns his fallen toad Pokemon. Macamp, show them our strength. Montauk says as he throws out the 4-armed brute of a Pokemon. Greninja, you want to rest or take you second now? I say to my frog starter. He nods to me and I get into stance again. All right, Macamp, dual chop. Shake the ground a little bit. Montauk says as a superpower Pokemon rushes towards Greninja. Greninja, double team, then aerial ace. I say as Greninja makes a copy of himself, then the two rush forward. Glowing white blades appearing in their hands. Macamp, knock them around. Montauk says as I smirk. Both Greninja are caught in an onslaught of close combat maneuvers. However, just as the move ends, both fade away. Greninja, absolute stealth. I say as there is a gleam from my side of the battlefield. Then it's gone. Macamp, try to block it. Montauk says as a Greninja appears from his left side, smashing into Macamp with aerial ace drawn. Greninja vanished after that, before 2 Greninja appeared, one coming in from the left and the other from behind Macamp. Macamp, behind you. Seismic toss. Montauk says, as the superpower Pokemon quickly spins around and grabs the Greninja only for it to vanish. Then Greninja slammed into Macamp from the side, once more. Mayfly. I say as Greninja rushes forward before making a copy of himself appear. The copy slams into Macamp before Greninja swerves to the left. Then multiple attacks hit Macamp at once. Only proof that Greninja was even still there was the ripples of dark energy from Night Slash. Greninja slashes through Macamp before the superpower Pokemon falls to his knees, fainted. And that's 2. Green side, choose your next Pokemon. Lana says as she had taken Mallow's place upon the podium. Greninja, take a quick rest, gonna need you in a little bit. I say as Montauk and I. Return out Pokemon. Gyarados, intimidate. Montauk says as he calls out his water flying type. I sigh, realizing he was going for intimidation over power. Sorry, Greninja, but this person needs to be defeated. I say as I enlarge a Pokémon with a fire symbol on it. Charizard, show them true intimidation. I say as the Pokeball snaps open. My fire type breaks the seal as he leaves and appears in front of Montauk, releasing a roar that shook and broke the ground. Charizard, hear my call. Evolve beyond evolution. Mega Evolve. I yell as I tap the keystone on my left wrist. There is a moment of peace, then the bonds appear. Charizard's blazing blue bonds reaching out to my pink. There is a blinding light, and in Charizard's place is a black and blue version. Charizard X. Way to go, Ash. I hear Verity say on the sidelines. How is this possible? Your record said you were a new trainer. They didn't even say you had a Charizard. Montauk says as the heat from Charizard is causing even his Gyarados to sweat. I concede. He says as he returns Gyarados. I smirk and walk over to him. This was a mercy show. I could have been a lot worse. Most of my Pokémon have been trained by masters of their craft, and some have even trained farther than that. Most would bow to legends. Mine challenge them. I say, as I pat Charizard on his side. Who are you really? Before I could get a word out, several gunshots were heard. I feel things pass through my chest, small rounded bullets that harmed me deeply. I feel one pass through a lung, and instantly instinct trigger, forcing my aura to the lung and others' organs. Bump, thump. I hear in my ears as I fall towards the ground in slow motion. I did it, they all failed, but I didn't. You will die this time, I swear it. I hear Tracy say as I continue to fall. Charizard, not too far from me, goes to his knees. He is bleeding from the chest, arms, and shoulder. He took the hits. We were still connected.
We were still bonded.
Greninja and I were still bonded. My Pokeballs snap open as emergency release is triggered. I see Greninja all bloody, covered head to toe in the red liquid as it seemed to seep from all around him. What were we hit with? Why would someone do that to us? What did we do to them? Then I see who it was. It was Tracy, and he was wearing Team Rocket gear. Then my vision starts to blur. Then darkness. Mallow POV. I instantly rush to Ash's side as he begins to bleed out. Lana and Lily rush to the Pokémon. I reach into my bag and pull out gauze and pass them to the others. Montauk rushes the Rocket member and pins him down, forcing the gun from his hands and sliding it at my feet. Verity suddenly appeared next to me, grabbing the gun and putting it to the kid's head. The barrel gleamed in the light. Verity, stop. I hear a kid say as he appears from the bushes, his orange hair almost glowing in the sunlight. Cross, he shot Ash. We need to get him to a hospital. His Charizard and Greninja were bonded to him. They are also bleeding out. Just help them. I will be fine. She says as a yellow hue appears around her. Only it seemed corrupted, darkened, and impured by her current dilemma. Should she pull the trigger of the gun? Some would call that justice for what happened to her beloved, or not pull the trigger and have the kid go unpunished for his crimes. Verity, his aura isn't triggering. It's not healing. Lily says as I look down at Ash. Greninja wasn't healing and neither was Ash. Dad, help us, please. He needs help. Lana says as she calls out her Araquanid and begins to have it use sticky web on some of Charizard's wounds. Verity, drop the gun. Go and get help from the Poke Center in town. You are the faster of the two of us. Go. Verity shakes at the arms for a minute before throwing the gun to the ground and taking off, pulling a Pokeball from her belt. Gogoat, let's go. She yells as the Pokémon appears. She jumps onto its back. 10 minutes passed, and Ash's would only trigger for long enough to stop him from bleeding out, only to flicker and die out. He must have used a lot recently. If only Sorrel or Steel were here, they would know what to do about his aura. Cross says as his G-men finish putting the now identified Tracy into a van and driving off. Or even Risa, she might know how to do something about it. Cross says as I see his aura flicker again. I was beginning to lose hope. Ash was strong, but he could only be strong for so long. Then I hear the sirens, a sound so powerful in all of us. I felt even the kid on the ground shake. Hold on, baby. Stay strong. Hope is coming. I said to him, then everything got really crazy. Chansey, Adino, Comfey, Blissey, Wigglybuff, and even a couple Lucario got out of vans with Nurse Joy, who took over for us. Some began to use Heal Pulse on the Pokémon, while the nurses looked at Ash. We're going to need to transfer. Mary Joy got a stretcher over here now. Somehow this kid isn't dead yet. I hear an officer say as a Nurse Joy appears with a stretcher. Within an hour we are all in the hospital. Ash had gone in, and they were operating on his Pokémon. Lily was so nervous, she was bouncing her leg. Verity was bawling on Cross' shoulder, her tears soaking his jacket. Lana was petting Vulpix, who had a smile on her face, an oh-so innocent smile on her face. Then the main doors smashed open. Kukui, Burnett, and Hal busted in and began to ask questions. Over here, guys. I say, trying to stay strong. They run over. I tell them everything, how a kid named Tracy, who was dressed in Team Rocket clothes, had taken some shots at Ash, how he was currently in surgery, how if they didn't pull through soon, Greninja and Charizard might not make it. I then started to break down in tears. He saved me, and now he was in danger, and there was nothing I could do. Lily hugged me close, and we began to cry into each other's shoulders. Girls, it will be all right. Ash always pulls through. We just have to have faith. Lana says as she walks over to me and Lily. She pulls us close, and I feel a little better. Ash once told me my aura made people feel happy, made them want to laugh and have a good time. My sense of humor may be bad, but that doesn't mean I don't like to laugh or make others feel happy. She says to us as Hal looks at her weird. We all knew what he was thinking. After another hour passed, Vulpix lost her smile. She had picked up the negativity in the room finally. Then Joy came. She had a smile on her face, but her eyes told us a different story. He'll make it, but he may need help for the next few months. Would he happen to be an aura user? She says to us as Kukui nods. It appears he was hit with a buckshot anti-aura round, a new piece of technology that has been in development for military use. However, it is not supposed to be this lethal. It is supposed to stun a target's aura to prevent or destabilize Mega Evolution. However, it appears someone modified this round to be a live round meant to kill and affect the Pokémon who is evolved and any other Pokémon connected to the aura user. This is why his Greninja and Charizard were harmed as well, and why neither unevolved when damaged this way. We were able to save the Pokémon easily enough. They should be fine and dandy within a month. However, Ash is a different story. We had to put him in a coma so that his aura would stop trying to fight us every step of the way.
She says.
Only direct family can see him right now. We can let the others in, once we know for sure he won't relapse. So me and the girls left. Nurse Joy took Burnett and Kukui back and told the rest of us that they would call us when he woke up. So we left. We went to my house where my parents were fighting again, and my little sister was hiding in the corner. I don't know what it was, but I snapped. Hey! Everything stopped. I felt something inside me grow stronger, and according to Lily, there was a green hue around me. What is the issue this time? 'Cause right now I am really not in the mood for this. If it is anything less than money missing from the safe, you both are to leave the premises, and I may allow you to return to get your things when the day is over. I say as they both freeze. You wouldn't. My mother went to say, as I grabbed little Flora and passed her to Lily. Lily, girls, take little Flora upstairs. There are some frozen dinners in the freezer. Make as many as you want. Keep her entertained. I need to have a little chat with my parents. I say as I walk into the kitchen, glowing with that same green hue. Now listen here. Out of the kindness in my heart and soul, I let you two live here as my parents and because you had my little sister with you. But in the last 6 months you guys have been pushing me to my limits. I may own the restaurant, but I am also a trial captain, and because of how you guys have been running me ragged, I have been slacking on my training to the point where people breeze through my trial as if it were the first one, and not the fourth one. Now I have had a long day, so I want you two to leave for the rest of the day, and think about how you have been acting. Then when you come back, I will decide if you are welcomed back. I say as I point to the door. Don't argue about it. I say as I turn and leave the room. I headed up the apartment above the restaurant where the girls and Flora were. When I got, Lana and Lily were asleep on the couch, the day's events having overloaded them, young Flora sleeping in between them. She was still little, and so sleeping was part of her day when things got crazy. They fell asleep almost the moment we got up here. Lana was first, and she has the cutest yawn I have ever heard. Lily was next, and I didn't even realize she had fallen asleep. She didn't make a sound or even give a signal. She was just out. They were watching a movie, something about letting go, and then they were out. I begin to laugh, as they were probably watching Frozen, one of Flora's favorite movies. So, Verity, want to talk about what happened today with that kid? I say to the girl, as she seems to be staring at her frozen dinner. So, you know how most of Ash's old friends betrayed him, right? Well, that kid was Tracy. He was one of his companions in the Orange Islands. He wanted to become a Pokémon researcher last I knew, but he had to start from the bottom with Professor was because of Ash that he was able to get that position. However, after the incident, he must have went to Team Rocket to become one of their researchers. When he saw Ash, he must have been overcome in joy because they had been trying to kill him, as they saw that as the only way to stop him from becoming a trainer. This is the third time he has been shot by one of them. First time it wasn't that kid Max. She says as she begins to play with her food. I just wish I had recognized him sooner. He wouldn't be in the aura right now. She says as she suddenly slams her fist into the table. She then gets up and walks out the door. She has a spirit that one. She was always a lively one. After her journey with Ash to see Ho-Oh, she went back home and took the league by storm there, going as far as to attempt the championship match. She would lose that match, but that never stopped her. She then started training again, and that training led her to Alola, where she met up with Ash, and in doing so started a relationship with him. The one piece she was missing. A guy with red hair says as he comes into the kitchen. Cross, Ash's rival from that same journey, right? I ask as he nods. And you must be the jungle girl Ash told me about, Mallow. Yeah, he told me about all of his girls. He says, pulling out a recorder. He told me that if anything happened to him to give this to you, he figured you would be the most calm out of all of the four. He says, placing it on the table. Just push play, and be prepared to hear a lot about Ash and his feelings towards you four. Cross says as he pushes the play button and leaves the room. The screen boots up and shows an image of Ash sitting in front of the camera in a hospital room. Recording POV Mallow POV. So, I guess I should start with the date. Today is June 14th, 2016. I am a Pokemon trainer by a currently unknown name. Most call me Ash as that was the idea found in my pocket, but there is also room for doubt about that. Ash says as he looks down at his arm. Based on information about said trainer name, if I truly am this person, I should be in my home in the Kanto region. However, as of a week ago, I was found shot, stabbed, and bleeding in a cave here in Alola. Reports from this also seem to be pointing in the same direction, as the trainer by the name Ash has been missing for as long as I have been in the hospital. He says as he pulls a Pokeball from off-screen, probably off the table in the room. In this Pokeball is a Goodra. The Goodra belongs to the trainer from the ID. It also seems to recognize me, so I guess I really am the trainer.
So, I guess I should just say it now.
My name is Ashton Satoshi Ketchum, and I am the missing Kanto trainer. The recording cuts off with Ash smiling for the first time in the video. I fast forward a small amount on the recorder and see that it was a week later. Today is June 21st. My name is Ash Ketchum, and I am a patient at the hospital here on Melee Island. The doctors told me that I am suffering from amnesia, but the truth is that I still have my memories of that day, still fresh in my head. They shot me, stabbed me, they wanted me to die. The fear when my aura triggered for the first time. Speaking of which, I have been visited by a woman with pink hair and her boss who asked me about where I was from and if I could do what I did that day again. Apparently I am responsible for bringing what is called an Ultra Beast into our world. Apparently they call it UB-03 Lightning, and it has been wreaking havoc all over the Kanto region. I laugh at this. Not because I summoned it on purpose or anything, but because the truth is that I have it on me. I freeze. I remember this one. Xurkitree, a powerful Ultra Beast that was known to cause chaos with its powerful electric attacks. And if Ash has it then, he has been really handicapping himself. So that's what happened to Lightning. It is back in Alola. That pesky trainer needs to give it to us. I hear someone say as I turn and see a man in a white lab coat with blonde hair and goggles. I reach for a Pokeball on my belt. Faba, I thought they arrested you for your involvement in the experiments on type null. I say, as I try to relax. I am out on parole, and it appears that a new pest has appeared. I already dealt with the other two, so don't think I won't deal with him either. He says as more what appear to be ether soldiers with black uniforms appear in my house. They all have rifles in their hands and aim them at the two on the couch and me. Now where is he? Faba says, as he points to Ash. I don't know. He is a friend of mine who was shot in his home region about a year ago, and these are the first thing I heard from him since the incident. I say as I pull the Pokeball out and enlarge it. Captain, fire the chloroform. Faba says as the man furthest from me fires a large canister of what I guess is chloroform from his gun, which releases the gas into the room, making me see black before falling to my knees. I then feel nothing. Verity POV. I walked all the way to the ruins of life. The pink ruins that are supposed to house the legendary guardian of the island of Akala, Tapu Lele. I stand there and begin to breathe, before letting off a scream so loud you could hear it in Kanto. I then begin to cry, freak out, panic, cry some more. I even started to blame myself. Why are you so stupid? I remember when I first joined your group and you got the EVs. You promised them and me that you wouldn't keep doing this sheet. I say as I pull out the photo from that day. The picture was of Ash, Lily, How and I standing in front of the daycare with a lady who had just given Ash 2 EVs that someone had abandoned there. I punched the ground. In anger. He had saved us that night, and one of the EVs who Ash had bonded with that day evolved into his brilliant Umbreon, just to help him lead us through the city. Flashback mode on. Team Rocket had been seen on the island. They had been terrorizing people in the main city, stealing Pokémon, and just causing a ruckus. They were still looking for Giovanni, not the poiser who was in his office now. A clone of the man everyone called Boss. We had been stopped by Officer Jenny's because we had been traveling past curfew. They thought we were part of the organization and so tried to arrest us. But right after Team Rocket had appeared and challenged us to a battle. If you think that beating us will make us give you our Pokémon, you are sadly mistaken. He had said as he enlarged a Pokeball and threw it forward. His Trumbeak appeared, and a battle began. Team Rocket began to overpower us easily, forcing us to our last Pokémon each. So Ash called her out. I believe in you, Eevee. Show your old trainer that you aren't weak, that you aren't like what she said you were. Together we can beat them. Let's show them our power together. Ash had said to the evolution Pokémon, and that was all they needed. The two took off, taking out Pokémon left and right, but it came down to a Gengar and a weakened Eevee. And just before Ash could call out the next move, the Grunt had ordered Gengar to use payback, forcing Eevee to her last leg. Ash had run to her and hugged the Pokémon close. I am so sorry, Eevee. I should have brought you back. I should have seen you were tired from the other battles. Please return for now. You did amazing. It was me who messed up. I wasn't a good enough trainer for you. He had said, and Eevee cried. But just so Ash wouldn't be sad, she had reached inside herself and called the power forward. She forced herself to evolve so that Ash wouldn't be sad. And when the light died down, in Eevee's place was a blue and black Umbreon, shiny. Meaning Eevee was shiny. Alright Umbreon, if you can still battle, use some of that new power of yours. Payback, let's go. Ash said as Umbreon nodded. She rushed forward, surrounded in a red and black aura, slamming into the Gengar, making it faint. The Grunts all fell unconscious and returned their Pokémon, not in that order. And Jenny arrested them. They were sent to jail, and we continued into the next city, using Umbreon's flash to light the way. All the time both Ash and Umbreon are smiling. Both were genuinely happy, Umbreon because she found a trainer she could trust, and Ash because he had helped Umbreon reach her full potential. Flashback mode off. I began to laugh at the memory. Everything had been happening so fast that night that Ash said that he needed to rest, and he went to bed without even eating his dinner. Child, you seem distressed. Is there something wrong? I hear a female voice say, as I look around. I see nothing at first. A tree with weird branches that made it almost look like deer antlers, a pot with antennas sticking out of the top. There was even a small green bug-looking Pokémon chilling on a boulder, but none of these seemed to be able to talk. Then I froze after realizing what I had seen. Why are you all here? lord and ladies. I say as Xerneas, Tapu Lele, and Zygarde appear before me. We appear because your friends need help, and as of right now you are the only one who can help them. Zygarde says as 3 cherished ball appear on the ground. Take us to the chosen one after you save your friends, and he wakes up. Tapu Lele says as she taps the first cherished ball. Xerneas taps the second one, and Zygarde taps the third. They are all SCKED in and all 3 ping. I need to get back to the house. I call Xerneas back out. Can I ride you, my lady, back to my friend's house? She nods and I jump onto her back, and she takes off. I prayed that I was going to be in time. Cross POV. I went to the hospital. Ash had been moved to recovery. He was doing better now. They had been able to remove the bullets and stop the bleeding. All that was left was to heal the areas that were affected, which his aura appeared to be doing for him. I get to the room and see Kukui and Burnett next to his bed. They are crying, both tears of anger and tears of joy. He was going to make it, but what would happen when he found out that his girls were kidnapped? Ash POV. Chosen one. You need to wake up. We are on our way to help, but your girls are in danger. They need your help. Marshadao says to me, please, human daddy, Mutwo and I are the closest. We will be there in an hour. You need to wake up. Mew says as I begin to feel my aura run rampant, closing holes and wounds, helping me heal faster. The nightmares never lie. Chosen one. They are all in danger. We are bringing the ace team. Cross is already there. Latios and I are going to be there shortly. Darkrai says as my heart rate increases, my anger fueling my aura, making it burn away the injuries faster. My eyes snap open and my aura flares, the 4 colors blazing brighter than any other time I had used my aura this severely. Ash, what are you doing? You need to rest. Charizard and Greninja, stay there. You 3 need to rest. A doctor says as I turn to my Pokemon, who nod, and I reach out to them with my aura, healing their wounds and restoring their stamina. The doctor turned to me. I saw it out of the corner of my eyes. He called for his nurses, who all came running back into the room and began to try and restrain me. Begin to play, you say, run. Doctor, I have to leave. There's a special set of someones that need my help, so I would like to see you all try to FING stop me when the women I love are in danger. I say almost on autopilot and stand up. I grab my Pokeballs and clip them to my belt. I then turn and leave the recovery room. Kukui, Burnett, Cross, and a few others meet me at the entrance of the hospital. We are with you, Ash, ready for anything, they say as I smile. This was going to be a battle heard all over the world. We were taking Ether Paradise by storm. Will Ash be able to save his girls? Why are 3 legendaries coming to Verity? How did Cross know to be in Alola now? All this and more coming up next time. Next time on Pokemon Legend to Master Alola segment. Cross, help me break down the door. Help them now. Gladion, what are you doing here? Pulse, make them fear us. Chapter 10, Raiding the Paradise. Taking what's his. Ash POV. I stood at the docks, waiting for Cross' friend that apparently had a boat that could fit all of us on it. With me was Gary, who was never really a traitor. It was just a test to see if the old me was still in my head. Paul, Harrison, Tyson, Morrison, who when he heard what happened to me instantly came to Konokoni City, Lily's brother Gladion, who decided to put our rivalry on hold to go save his sister, Cross, Sorrel, Verity, who when she saw me still alive, walking around, she hugged me close, punched me in the arm, kissed me, then punched me in the arm again. After freaking out for a few minutes, she pulled out 3 cherished ball and handed them to me. These 3 met me at the ruins of life. They said to give you them when we saw each other again. She said as she handed the Pokeballs to me. Hello, chosen one. Father Arceus felt it was time for you to have power over life and balance, not death yet, and Tapu Lele decided to come along. I hear Xerneas say in my head. The Pokeballs shrink down, and I clip them to my belt. There were others with me, for example the other captains from the other islands, the Kahanuas, gym leaders from the other regions, even one called Galar. There were a couple here on the island that when they heard about what happened instantly were ready to go. Raihan was the last gym leader in the region, and Nessa was the second. Thank you all for coming. Ash here is a dear friend to most in every region, and I thank our Galar brethren for helping in this matter. Team Rocket has been seen here on the Alolan Islands. The cross says as the others growl. As of yesterday, Ash was shot with an anti-aura rifle. He nearly lost his life thanks to Team Rocket. They also took the girls he loves, and today we are invading their base and taking them back. We will also be looking for any grunts and arresting them. Any of the admins, if you can take them, bring them down. I hear Cross say as I walk over to him. Giovanni is mine. I say as I see a giant pirate ship coming into the harbor. Captain, she is ready for boarding. I hear a male voice say on the ship. Ah, Steel, welcome to the islands. You, ready for a full frontal brawl. I hear Cross say as the gangplank is dropped onto the dock. The ship itself is large, about the size of a cruise ship. It was black as if it was burned and had the colors raised. On the side of the ship is the name Semper Fidelis. I begin to board the ship when I hear two people run up next to it. Sorry, we're late. Customs was a beach. I hear someone behind me. I turn and see Riza and Shauna. I instantly jump off the gangplank and hug them both. We're here for you, Ash, so let's go get those girls back. Shauna says as we release each other from a hug. Hey, come on, ye land lovers, we gotta go. I hear Steel say as I drag the others up the gangplank. Attention passengers, this is your captain speaking. We shall be at our destination within an hour. So sit back, relax, have a drink. Unless you're underage. Then we have juice and soda in the cooler. Battling is not allowed, and if Ash Ketchum could join me on the main deck, I have something for ye. The captain says as I walk over to the wheel. Listen here, lad, 2 things, that Shauna girl. Don't forget to tell her how you feel. Also, these are for you. He says, handing me 2 unique Z crystals that have the crystal then small diamond shapes at the end of either crystal. These are Lycium Z and Mimikyu Z. I got them from my parents, and then found a set myself in the Kanto region. These are that found set. I understand you have the 2, and you're going to need some more power when going against these guys. Steel says, pushing the 2 crystals into my hand. Now, laddie, you better be prepared for what is about to happen. Steel says, and pushes me down to the deck. He was right, I was going to need my strongest Pokémon for this. I went to the lower deck and activated my Pokédex. Transfer Greninja and Charizard, receiving Pulse and Talonflame. Rotom says as the 2 Pokeballs appear in my hand. So, when were you going to tell them your cousin Leon sent you the Pokédex PC upgrade from Galar? Nessa says as I quickly close the decks. I don't use it that often, just when I need it for situations like this one. I say as I walk past her back onto the main deck. I had to stay focused on what was about to happen. In 10 minutes, there was going to be guns. Bad people, Pokémon who were stronger thanks to something Rocket did. Things I needed to be careful of. And if all was right, Giovanni and a blonde woman who I didn't know were going to be leading the charge. Ash, you called something pulse down there. What is it? Nessa says as I quickly freeze. Not something important right now. I say to Nessa as I walk away from her entirely. Her following me was getting on my nerves. I was already upset and ready to kill Giovanni. No, Ash, I have been watching you. Leon asked me to do it. You never give your Pokémon a nickname. But this Pokémon has a nickname, why? Nessa says as Raihan came up next to her. Leon also asked me to check on you while we were here. You can tell us. I growl and slam my hand into the side of the staircase we were standing by. Fine, it's an Ultra Beast. It appeared at the hospital when I was staying there. Something about my aura drew it to me. I say as I pull out a black and blue Pokeball with a rainbow lightning bolt on it. The top was covered in black arches that were almost wire-like. Ash, Leon, and Lance told you not to bring that out. We don't know the effect it will have on the world. We don't even know if it will listen to you. I hear Cross say next to me. What am I supposed to do? My girlfriends are in trouble, and it's my fault. If hadn't have found out I was alive still, they wouldn't have sent Tracy to shoot me, and I wouldn't have had an injured Charizard and Greninja. They wouldn't have sent Faba after the 3 of them. Hell, I wouldn't have been here in the first place. They wouldn't have been in danger if I had just remained in that forest. But I didn't, and now Rocket has earned my full wrath, and they will be lucky if it doesn't bring down the house. I say as my aura flares around me. He's got a point. I mean, if I was in his situation, I'd bring out the Pokémon that I only recently captured. I would bring down the entirety of Team Rocket by myself, At least he has the patience and clear head to wait. Steel says as he comes down and stands with me. Ash, do you even have a plan? What if Pulse doesn't listen to you? What if you get hit again? There isn't going to be a way to save you this time. Cross says as I look out at the water. Yeah, and it's really simple. In fact, gather everyone on the main deck. I say as I grab and enlarge Pulse's Pokeball. Once everyone was gathered on the ship, I stood in front of all of them. Now it has occurred to me that we don't actually have a plan, and I would like to repair that. I say as I throw the Pokeball. It snaps open and the Ultra Beast appears, startling everyone except Steel. To start, this is the Ultra Beast, known as Lightning. I have taken to calling him Pulse. With this being said, he is an ally. Do not be afraid, he is perfectly tame. I say as Pulse reaches down with one of his plugs. I grab it, and it seems to understand that I need him to help me, that all these people were my allies. The next thing is that I have come up with a plan and would like Gladion to join me up here, because if at any point this plan doesn't work, I will have a backup setting. I say as I let go of Pulse's plug. Gladion joins me up here, and that's when it all starts. So first off, Gladion, what are you doing here? I say as I put him in the spotlight. One of the girls Ash is dating is my sister, Lily. She was also one of the girls that were taken, so I am here to provide assistance in any way I can. He says as I nod. Alright, Gladion, how is security on the island? Any form of radar or watchtower? I say as I hands me a map of the Foundation. He knew where we were going, and so had the map printed by Gladion. Yeah, it has a radar underneath the island in case of large aquatic Pokemon attack, and trust me, it's happened, but nothing as far as above water or aerial. Once on the island, there is several areas where security is set up, but only if our mother is on the island. The rest of the time the island is basically a free-for-all explore area, except for the lower docks and lower floors. He says as he points out the areas. If Team Rocket has taken over the base, Mother will either be trying to help them from the main house here. He points to a building that was separated from the large main compound. It was smaller and seemed to have a garden attached to it. Or is in the main compound in the holding cells about 3 stories below the main entrance. Gladion says as he points to the center of the main compound. Alright, then here's how we're going to do this. Winona, Skyla, Faulkner, you take a team and do aerial recon. Take at least one person each. That person is to provide cover. Team Rocket will probably be looking for aerial assault. Elsa, Watson, Lieutenant Surge, Sophocles, since you all specialize in electric types, I can think of Noon better to take out the main power grid. Each of you take a partner as well. Again, these partners will be providing cover fire. I say as I look over the map more, taking a pen from Cross and a badge each from them. The badges represent their gym leader. The other symbols will make sense when you are assigned a role. I say as I place the electric and flying type gym leaders. Pick your partners now. I say as I see Faulkner grab Sabrina. Winona grabs Roxanne. Skyla reaches for me only for her to change her mind and grab Cress. Chilly, Cress. I am sorry about your brother. Please help me in this, and I will see about getting him out. I say, and they look at each other. Sigh, no Ash, it's not that. We thought that because of Killian that you wouldn't trust us. Cress says, and I nod. You didn't do anything, so no need to be upset with you. Hell, you even came and joined in on this rescue mission. They both nod. Actually, Cress, Violet, Daisy, Lily, Nessa, John, Wallace, Wake, Marlin, as you are all water specialists, I need you guys to dive. Go as deep as possible. Keep the radar focused on you. Semper Fidelis needs to get as close as possible, so keep the radar focused on each of you. They all nod. Don't worry about grabbing partners. You'll have enough cover. And Steele said he has diving gear and a dive area in the back of the ship. I place the badges of the new assigned team and the partner symbols. The rest of you, when we land, it will be our job to take out any stragglers and those that don't respond to the other 3 assaults, any traitors or admins on the island. Eliminate with extreme prejudice. I say, and wave to Steele, who nods and triggers the boat's motor. The ship then begins to speed toward the island. As the metal island begins to come into view, I give the signal for the aerial and sea teams to go,
which they do so without flaw.
Steele throws down one of his dinghies and begins to help the electric team into it. Listen now, push the blue button to stop, red to go, and yellow to throw up the air bubble. This dinge doubles as a yellow submarine. If you get the joke, thank you. If not, you're a little too young. He then send them off. Giovanni, you better be ready, 'cause I am bringing hell to your front door. I say as Semper Fidelis got closer and closer. Steel ready, the gangplank. I say as he nods. We land in the dock and drop the plank. Hoss the colors Maddies. Let's make them fear Ash Ketchum. Steel yells out as he swings on a rope from the main deck onto the dock. You heard him. Take out the grunts, watch out for admins. Don't be afraid to go all out. I say as I jump off the ship, calling out Talonflame. Begin to listen to you say run now. I jump and Talonflame grabs me, flying me through the paradise dodging grunts. He knew where we had to go. Talonflame drops me at the end of the hall. I say as I feel her claws begin to release me. They fully release and I begin to fall. Landing in a roll and standing back up, I begin to run down the hall. Intruders coming from the main entrance, intruders coming from the sky, intruders coming from sea. We are surrounded. I hear someone say as I turn a corner and see someone in a white Team Rocket suit. She had long purple hair that reached just below her shoulder blades. They can't reach the cells or Giovanni, I just need to hold my post. She says as she begins to reach for a Pokeball. I would get out of my way right now. I don't want to have to hurt any more people or Pokemon than I have to. I say to her as I make my presence known. And why would I dare disobey my leader's orders? She says as she turns to me. No, this can't be. You're dead. You can't be here, you're dead. She says as I smirk. Then I am just a figment of your imagination. I say as I get close to her. And this shouldn't hurt at all. I say as I push some aura into my fist and slam it into the side of her head. She falls to the ground unconscious. I sigh. If I freaked her out that much, she must have been new. Cross meets up with me eventually, and we stare at the door in front of us. Apparently she had locked it before I had knocked her out. Cross, help me knock this door down. I yell as a huge firefight begins behind us between Team Rocket members and our allies, many of which were doing pretty good as Cross turned, and helped them out. Gonna have to move it. I say as I grab a Pokeball of my belt. I throw it forward, and it snaps open, revealing Infernape, and in a mighty roar and slamming his fist into the ground, he turns and looks at me. Hey big guy, we're going to be trying something new today. See this red crystal? It holds the power of fire here in Alola, and that door behind us is going to get a taste of it coming from you. I say to the large simian Pokemon, who looks at the door, before giving off a growl and nodding his head. All right, Incineroar, give him a hand. Incineroar appears and growls. I point to the door, and he nods. All right, Infernape, here we go. I say as both Cross and I sync up and begin to go through the motions. Here we go, Inferno Overdrive. We shout together as a large ball of fire form in the hands and claws of our Pokemon before being thrown at the door, which then shatters upon impact. Stop, you say, run now. Behind the door, I see my girls. They are hanging by chains that are attached to their wrist. They are gagged and seem to be unconscious. How dare you? I hear my voice say as I see the man before them. He is wearing a green business suit with brown hair and pale skin. On his lap is a Persian that turns to me and hisses. Mr. Ketchum, I would stay there if I were you. Don't need my office getting dirty. Maria doesn't come till Thursday. He says in the voice I would never forget. You so much as harm a hair on their heads, and this whole building will need a clean up when I am done with you. I say in a weird voice that seemed to be multiple overlapping. What can a child like yourself do? Your own soul was shattered into pieces, and you rely on these girls to bring them back together. I wonder, would you actually kill me for doing this? He pulls out a gun and puts it to Lily's head. Start, Jet, say run now. I rush forward, almost teleporting, and grab his wrist that holds the gun. I'm going to break you. I say in that voice again, as Giovanni stares at me. Like a Kit Kat bar. I say as I let my aura flare. I then snap his wrist, forcing him to drop the gun. I then Sparta, kicking him out the window to our left. Cross, begin to evacuate all of our allies. Take them with you. I have trash to take care of. I say in the voice that I am realizing is the voice that I spoke in when I was possessed by that ancient king, mixing with my own. Very good, Ash. My true name is Titus, and I have decided to help you. After all, we are no longer much different. Betrayed by people we thought were friends, loves of our lives stolen from us, their lives threatened, able to use aura, recognized by the Legendaries. So let's show this sheet heel who we are. When we are not enemies. I nod my head only to turn when I feel someone tap me on the shoulder. There stood Shauna. She had tears in her eyes. Ash, listen to me. Don't kill him. Don't lose who you are. Please do that for me. I love that you. Not the you that the others have told me you have become. She says as I realize something. This king was what was blocking the old me. When I was at my weakest, he invaded my mind, made me believe the only way to gain myself back was to take revenge, to make the traitors fear me. You have figured me out. I must say this girl has a head on her shoulders. I close my eyes and focus for a single second.
Who am I?
I nod to Shauna. She then kisses me, long and passionately. I feel a new source of power travel through me before I break off and look at her. Get off the island and stick close to Cross. If anything changes, dive into the ocean. There is someone there waiting to help. I tell her before jumping out of the window. I plummet to the ground, find Giovanni, being helped up by one of his admins. Giovanni, we have to leave. This plan is a bust. I hear the admin say, and Giovanni looks at him. Anyone I see leaving this island will be considered a deserter and will be killed on sight. He says until I smash into him, letting my aura pulse. Oh, what is the big bad wolf afraid of the little pigs? I say as he gets back on his feet. How are you even alive? You should have died from the anti-aura rounds. He says that, and I stop, my anger rising in my stomach. So you sent Tracy, too bad. Next time you try to have someone killed, make sure the person you sent isn't afraid to finish the job. I say as I rush him, pinning him to the ground and grabbing the gun he had on his side. Oh, and this is for everything else. I say as I pull the trigger, putting a bullet in his leg. He screamed, a sound that was music to my ears. When he stopped screaming, he began to laugh. What's so funny? I say as he begins to speak. You know, those girls were quite the entertainment for my men. He says, and I don't know if he is just stupid or if he was being serious, and I don't want to know. I turn the gun to his temple. You know, while you may be a good shot, old man, that I have a little trouble, a little to shaky when I hold the gun, so I have to get real close, so stop shaking so that I don't miss. I say as I put the gun right to his temple. It is now that he sees himself. You're nothing like your brother. What are you? He says as I stop myself from pulling the trigger. My brother could only take you down. We made a vow of peace. When I entered this new life, I made a new vow. The ones I loved, should they ever be harmed, the harmer would feel my wrath. I say as I pull the trigger, except a bullet doesn't come out. Take this as a mercy. I could have killed you, except this isn't your gun. I say as I put the gun in my bag. Leave the paradise. This is a place of relaxation. A place where Pokémon who have been abused can come to sleep, to be safe for even a short time. I say as I turn my back on him and begin to get close to the docks again. You know, grandfather, no matter how much it hurts me to say that, you are my only family left from my dad's side of the family. When you get out, I would like to sit down and talk to you, learn more about my remaining family. I say as Steel lowers the gangplank. Officer Jenny and John swarm the paradise, arresting grunts and admin alike. I see them go for Giovanni and stop in my steps. He's going to need some medical care and mental help. Try using a Zadu and a Gardevoir. They should help him clear his head. I say as I get back onto Steel's ship. Welcome aboard the Heart of the Sea. Please make sure that all Pokémon are in their Pokeballs and that you are relaxed. We have a long journey back, and if Ash would join me on the main deck. I have a message from an old friend of mine. I hear Steel say, as I begin to walk up to the main deck. You did good today. Jenny got the weapons, the grunt, and Giovanni is in cuffs. That old king was wrong to even try what he did. However, that isn't what I wanted to talk to you about. Steel says as he points to my hands. How willing were you to put blood on your hands? Were you really ready to dirty your hands? He says as he turns the wheel slightly, almost like he was studying it. I'm going to be honest, no, I wasn't. I am never going to be like Giovanni. I will never kill another being, even if my aura doesn't allow it. I say as I flash back to the incident with Max and May. I had them by the throat, forcing my aura into their own, overloading them. I say their skin began to crack, turn gray, their eyes glowing blue. What was I going to do? Port bow. Something large swimming our way. Raihan says out of nowhere as he grabs his pokeball. Hold, they may be friendly. I hear Steel says as he enlarges his own pokeball. Steel that could be rockets that were not arrested on the island. Nessa says as she also enlarges a pokeball. Give me a hand, Milotic. She calls out as she throws a pokeball with a beauty seal on it. It snaps open and a shiny Milotic appears and dives into the water, Nessa jumping onto the Pokemon as she dives. There is a moment when nothing happens, and then a shadow of a serpentine-like Pokemon speeds past the underside of the ship. Moments passed and nothing seems to happen, then a blue light appears under the water, and then Nessa and her Milotic jump out of the water. It's plasma. She yells as she dives again, and a beam similar to that of a Pokemon's ice beam. Pulse. Make them fear us. I say as I call out the beast who appears on the ship and lets off a cry that seems to echo throughout the world. Steel, send a signal to Nessa and tell her to get out of the water. I say as I reach out to the Ultra Beast. Sent it to her. She is boarding now, just returning her Pokemon. I nod and feel Xurkitry's aura with my own. Pulse, with a little restriction, fire a thunderbolt at that middle section. I say as I point to the middle of the shadow. Pulse fires a small thunderbolt that was the equivalent to that of a Raichu at the heart of the Team Plasma sub. There is a moment where nothing happens, then a large explosion appears in the water and sends goons to the surface, and even Getsus, who sees me and gets a look of pure, unadulterated rage. Kyrium, fire a glaciate at that ship. He says as the legend appears next to him, only for the legend to bash the man over the head with his arm. Chosen one. Capture me, I am tired of serving this mortal. He says as I pull a cherish ball out of my bag and throw it. It taps Kyrium on the forehead and SCKS him in. It pings and is sent straight to the lab. Pulse, full power, thunderbolt. I yell as Getsus and the plasma members look at Pulse as he fires the attack. There is a moment where I hear the screams of those that are affected by the electricity, then nothing. Steel called Jenny. Tell her that we have plasma members here for her. I say as I see the others look at me with shock. They now knew I could control an Ultra Beast. Chapter 11, Nightmares Come True. The Red Soul Fragment. Ash POV. So something that has come up in the story multiple times is my gender assignments of some of the genderless legendaries, and I am not mad or upset about this point being brought up. It's entirely my fault, and I will explain that. For example, SMC, Fan 1 mentioned that Kyogre is male in canon, which is entirely true, and I realize that. However, I based Kyogre's gender of Amphitrite, who is the wife of Poseidon in Greek mythology. As Manafi is considered the prince of the sea, he will be male, as I based the gender of Triton. Darkrai is male in canon, and is male here, as I based his gender on Hades, and before you say anything, Giratina is male for the same reason. Sorry, thought I should clear this up, and again, not mad or upset about this being brought up, it was just really important for this chapter. The heart of the sea slowly sailed into the docks on Melee Island. Most of us were tired from the trip there and the raid. I was surprised I was able to stand on my own. My aura burned through what energy I had in my system. Ash, you doing okay? I heard about the aura output earlier. I hear Lily say behind me. She knew about the output drain. She also knew that I shouldn't be able to stand right now. Yeah, fine. Just a little tired. I say as I turn to her. The blonde in front of me just gave me the look, and I crumbled. All right, I have no idea. I should be unconscious right now. I should still be in the hospital, but my body is powering forward. Maybe it's a sign that I've gained more control of my aura, or maybe I just have more energy than normal. I say as she looks at me. She then walks up to me and puts her head in the crook of my neck. Listen to me now, Ash, you're fine. But you need to wake up. She says as her gentle voice made everything seem to calm
down.
Ash, you need to wake up for me. We are all waiting for you, so wake up. She says again as the world around us seems to crumble. Come on back to me, she says as she fades away into dust. Then I woke up. Where am I? I say as I look around and see the hospital on Melee Island. Charizard and Greninja, not too far from me. Heart monitors on their chest, and the steady beeps of the machines. Where are the girls? Where am I? I say out loud as a doctor comes running in. He's awake. He yells down the hall as I try to stand up. He runs over to me and tries to push me down onto the bed. No, I yell as I slam my fist into his side, knocking the wind out of him and making him fall. I have to check on Greninja and Charizard. I say aggressively and walk over to my dragon Pokémon. I call to my aura once more, placing my hand on Charizard's chest and begin to pump aura through him. The healing pulses pump through him, removing his wounds and resetting bones. Now for Greninja. I say as I stumble over to my aura partner and place my hand on his chest, doing the same with him as I did with Charizard. I feel his heart rate increase and his bones snap back into place. I take a breath and go back to my bed. I needed to rest. I lay down and close my eyes. Ash, I need you, please help me. I hear Lily cry out in my head as my eyes snap open. Please, Ash, stay strong, he has us. There are sounds of destruction and battle outside. Please, we need help. I hear Mallow say as I stand from my bed, almost absent-mindedly. They stole the legends from me. Ash, they're calling out to you. They need help like we do. Please help us all. I hear Verity say as my aura spikes like crazy. Charizard, Greninja, can you hear me? I say as I stand up and walk over to my bag. RRRRRGGGG. I hear from Charizard,
who is standing and stretching.
GR. I hear from Greninja as I grab my Pokédex. Dexter, Rotom, Protocol, Infinite. Initiate now. I say as I lace up my shoes and throw on my hat. DNA needed for Protocol to be activated. Rotom says as I slide on my jacket. Presenting my hand to him, he taps it and scans my DNA. DNA accepted. Welcome, Champion Ash. All 80+ Pokémon ready for transfer. Rotom says as he begins to rotate through the images of my Pokémon. Begin. I say as I stick my head out the door. I turn back to my stuff and grab Charizard's and Greninja's Pokeball. Return for now, you two. Going to need all hands on deck for this mission. I say as they nod and are cloaked in a red light. All right, Mutwo. I need your help. I say as I throw his Pokeball forward. It snaps open and reveals the clone Pokémon. How may I be of assistance, Ash? He says as he appears. Mutwo, I need to go to a place called the Ether Paradise. Can you take me to it? I say as doctors begin to try and open the door. I had locked the door once I had awoken. I needed to save my girls, my friends, my family. They all needed my help. Not only that, but something told me to Mew, I need you to activate the lockdown system on the lock. They can't get in here. I say as I throw another Cherish Ball forward. It snaps open and an agitated Mew appears, forcing the door closed and forcing the lock shut. I pull out some of my other Pokémon as I hear an alarm go off and something that sounded like air be released. Probably hydraulic locks. I have all my Pokémon on me. Check. Mutwo out to help me with this.
Check.
No one can get in this room till I get back.
Check.
All right, Mutwo. Locate Verity. I say as the clone Pokémon nods and turns to a single point in the room. Then creates a portal using Psystrike. Let's go. I say as I run through the portal, hoping and praying that I wasn't about to enter a massacre. When I arrive at the point Mutwo portaled us to, all I could see was an island that was filled with smoke. Fires burned everywhere. Rocket members lay on the ground unconscious, their Pokémon not too far from them. Fainted. Well, looks like human resources has been processed. I say as I look around for Verity, only to find Hao with a Prismarine out and breathing heavily. I run up to him quickly and help him to the ground. Ash, what are you doing here? You should still be in the hospital healing. He says as I chuckle. I was, but something called out to me. The girls are in trouble and I am going to put an end to it. I say as he nods. Just be careful. I nod and turn to the building. How long have you been here and who else is here? I say as he begins to fade in and out of consciousness. He must have been battling with his all, using multiple Z moves. Most of the gym leaders from all over the world, the other trial captains, multiple champions, the G-men, rangers, and an old sea captain that goes by Steel. I think I saw Verity using some legendaries to battle, but I was pretty far into battle by that point, and on my third Z move. He says as he passes me something in his hand. This Z move is Dragon type. It should allow you to use Draconic Rage. The girls are here somewhere. We were trying to get them out before you woke up, but we just couldn't get through. He says as he finally falls asleep, Prismarine following his example. It's okay, cousin. We will take your place. I say as I grab a Pokeball and throw it forward. The Pokeball snaps open with a fiery rage, and an Infernape appears. His normal red and orange flame, now a blue and white flame. He turns to me, and I nod. This was our chance to see how far our bond had come. Infernape, the girls are here. It's time we become heroes. He nods to me and we walk forward. Grunts that could see us move either ran off in fear, or stood called out Pokémon. I think I remember a Crobat, but I honestly couldn't tell you, as all I could see was red, and no, not like a rage-induced red, like a calm before the storm, a red that said I was said, but you would never know it. Infernape, blast burn now. I say, as I see magmatic fists surround Infernape as he slams them into the
ground,
creating a ripple effect across the grounds, turning stone into magma around us. Pokémon left and right were fainting, falling due to the heat and damage. People who couldn't take the heat found out the hard way to stay out of the kitchen. As the attack finished, I walked over to a grunt and stepped down to his level. Where are they? I say to him as he cracks a smile. Your friends or the entertainment, 'cause I have to say that blonde. My good sir, she was the most enjoyable. I grabbed a hold of him by the throat and just began to squeeze. Take it back now, or I will feed you to my Charizard. I say as I stare the grunt down. He just smirked and looked me in the eyes. You won't do it, I know your type. You would never kill an enemy. Simply let them live to teach them a lesson. I smirk and throw him on the ground, before grabbing a gun off one of his friends and aimed it at him. Any last words? I hope she's PRGNNT. I didn't say anything and pulled the trigger. His head came clean off, going everywhere. Hans. Mean. And he was having such a good day. Got to sing his song and everything. If you get the reference, thank you. Anyone else wants to find out what I am capable of? The grunts all begin to back off. Now I am only asking one more time. Where are they? I say as I walk towards them.
Who?
Your friends or the girls, because one is in the dungeon and the other is being taken to the killing field. There was a moment of silence as I smirked. Oh, so then I no longer have a need for any of you. I say as I walk closer, and they begin to clear out. That's what I thought. I say as I enter the building. I didn't even know where I was, but I had to get to the killing field. No one was going to die today. I followed the areas where battle was very obvious. Walls that were charred and flooring ripped up. A fire type and a ground type attack. The battle seemed to stop here. I say as I find an area in the middle of the hall completely unscathed. Very good. Now get out of our way, catch 'em. I hear a female voice say as a woman with chestnut hair and a white jumpsuit appears around the corner. Admin Leona, what a surprise that you rockets are the cause behind this. So what do I have to do with this in general? I say as I enlarge a Pokeball. Oh, this and that. You know your friends were quite the capable group, but here you are, your friends gone, people you love in peril, and all you can do is stand here and fight with me. You really are still just a child. She says as I am surrounded by grunts. You think that I am still just a child, but I am a man that makes you shake and shiver, sometimes in anticipation, sometimes. Well, sometimes you wish you wore your brown pants. If anyone gets either of these references again, thank you. I say as my Pokemon appear around the grunts and throw them through the wall, knocking them unconscious from the throw. Just you and me, Leona. You give me the information if I win. We all know what you want from me if I lose. I say as I throw the Pokeball into the air and catch it in my open hand. I like those terms, not like you can win anyway.
She says as I smirk.
Infernape, take the lead. The simian Pokémon jumps down in front of me, still completely bonded to me. His fire burning even brighter than normal. Thank you to Shit on Amino for the idea. She looks at the simian Pokémon in fear, realization dawning on her face. She was not going to win. We both know Giovanni doesn't take failure well, so back off now, and you may live to see another day. I say as a shadowed look appears on her face. Klinklang, make him suffer. The gear Pokémon appears as Leona throws her Pokeball forward. The Pokémon was gold and green instead of its normal coloring of gray and blue. Infernape, here we go. Flamethrower now. Burn the hallway down if you have to. I say as my simian Pokémon launches forward and begins to breath white hot flames from his mouth. Klinklang, make it count. Use Protect followed by Charge Beam. A green barrier surrounds the gear Pokémon only for it to shatter when the flames from Infernape meet it. Soon after Klinklang was blasted by the white-hot flame, it fell onto the ground, fainted. Klinklang, return for now. Stunk Tank, take him down. Leona says as she enlarges a dusk ball and throws it forward. Infernape, close combat. Shake the ground. I yell as my simian Pokémon rushes forward, jumping over rubble, and even Cutiefly as he slams both of his fist and legs into Skuntank's back and face, slamming it around before throwing into the wall. Infernape, howling into the sky. The metaphorical dust clears, and Skuntank is knocked out. Leona, give it up. Infernape and I are in complete sync. No Pokémon, not even a water psychic type, will be able to defeat us. Give it up. I say as Infernape's flames turn to an almost blue glowing energy that is similar to Greninja when we battle bonded. I surrender. She says as she looks at my simian Pokémon and myself. Go up front and wait. The G-Men are already on their way to this base to arrest the Rocket members here. I say as I begin to return my Pokémon. If you are not out there when they get here, be prepared to run for a long time because we will find you. I say as I return Infernape and walk down the hall. Oh, and where is Giovanni? I say as I turn onto Leona. I don't know, I was told to not let you get past me, so I wasn't given the information, but I will say that some of your allies are in the dungeon down the hall to the left. She says as she begins to walk down the hall to the main entrance. I sprint down the hall, using my aura as a boost to go faster. Jumping over knocked out grunts and guards, fainted Pokémon, and even the occasional barely conscious guard. Who the hell went through here and knocked all these guards out? Who would have that kind of power? Who would have that kind of control in a situation like that? I begin to go through the names of my friends who were still on my side, trying to figure out who would leave this many alive and not kill. I get to the staircase and try to listen to what is happening below me. There are the sounds of a Pokémon battle, the cries of those injured, and the sounds of attacks being fired off. We have to hold out the G-Men, or someone comes to help us. I hear a male voice say. I grab a Pokeball and throw it forward. Jangmo-o, give me a hand. I say as my dragon type appears and begins to click its tongue and growls. Jangmo-o, we need to help the girls and anyone that is fighting for us. Jangmo-o nods and begins to charge down the stairs behind me. When I get to the bottom, I see Pokémon and humans knocked unconscious, and some even laying with massive wounds. At the center of the room, a man with dark skin and orange and blue gym clothes. Raihan, we have to keep going. Lance and Leon are counting on us to get those people and their Pokémon out. A girl with black hair, with a blue and white streak in it, who suddenly appears from around the corner, with what appears to be a turtle-like Pokémon at her side. Her tan skin was gorgeous, and the accent she spoke with was really cute. The Pokémon, which I could not identify, was a very large, turtle or tortoise-like Pokémon that had a cleaver-like head and seemed to have jaws that were powerful enough to break my leg with a simple bite. All right, Nessa, I am just cleaning up the guards. Duraludon, clean the room. A large lighter-like Pokémon suddenly appears in front of me. From what I can see, it resembles a lighter and a skyscraper in a way. It is completely white, maybe even silver. This Pokémon that I could feel a strong dragon-like presence from began to move the unconscious guards and Pokémon to the side and check them over. However, it turned its eyes onto me and rushed forward. Within seconds, I was pinned to the wall, the Pokémon too heavy to move. Jangmo-o began to charge what appeared to be dragon rage in his mouth and aimed it at the Pokémon that had me pinned to the wall. Duraludon let him go. He is not one of them. I hear someone say, as Lance comes into my line of sight. Sorry, Ash. We have been clearing this floor. When did you get here? Lance says as Jangmo-o jumps next to me and begins to click and growl. Lance repeats this to the Pokémon, making it confused and causing Jangmo-o to look to the dragon trainer and begins to click again. Lance, good to see you. I had a dream in the hospital. It led me here. I say as he just nods. I have to help them, Lance, so tell me where to go. He nods as an Aerodactyl quickly flies by before firing off a hyper beam in the direction it came. Just follow us and try to stay behind. I know you want to help them, but you can't do that if you're shot or injured. I nod as the Aerodactyl flies back around and begins to circle us, as if to guard. We moved through the halls, chatting idly. Raihan introduced himself as the final gym leader people can face in the Galar region. Nessa also introduced herself and explained that we had met before. We were younger back then. I was visiting my grandparents. This is entirely made up. In Pallet Town, and I had left the house in the middle of the night. You, and what I think was a Charizard, had come to my rescue. Nessa says as I think back to any event that may have involved me and Charizard. Then it hit me, she was my first real crush. You were that girl that I saved from the Nidoqueen and Nidoking that had tried to attack you. I remember that day so clearly. I had just gotten to Pallet Town when I was approached by a group of people asking if they had seen another child about my age with a chuttle in the forest. I didn't remember seeing one, but I had told them that I would help with the search. I say as I begin to think back to that day. Nessa had really grown. Well, one thing was still the same. She kept the blue streak in her hair, something that was more beautiful than like it is now. When we were kids, she was very pretty whenever she would visit, and we had become good friends and tried to keep up, but when she became a gym leader, we had lost contact. I was in Hoenn, and she was really busy trying to get farther into her gym and model career. I missed you, Nessa. I say as I bring her into a hug. She hugs me back, nice and tight, and I feel a slight tug from deep within my soul, like my aura was calling out to something. When I heard about what your friends did to you, I was so angry that I closed the gym and went to the league about all your friends. Most have lost their gyms, and one lost her name as the champion. I believe only Clement still has his gym, and that is mostly because they can't find a replacement in time for the Kalos League. She says as I thank her. I pull away from the hug and look to the door at the end of the hall. It is time that we save the friends I have here. I say, and the three nod. Jangmo-o break the door down. Close combat. I say as my dragon type launches forward and shatters the door on impact. Intruder in the 5th floor dungeon, all personnel able to fight report to the dungeon now. An intercom system says as I rush into the room and see that Verity and Mallow are chained to the wall. Their clothes were torn and ripped. Mallow's were almost completely destroyed. Very thin lines of cloth covered her holy parts. Nessa came in after me and saw the scene before me. Ash, you need to get them out of here now. Do you have a safe area they can go to? Nessa says as I continue to stare at the unconscious duo that was chained to the wall. My aura began to flicker on and off, almost like it wanted to activate, but something was stopping it. Ash, you have to snap out of it. We have to move them now. Rocket members are going to be surrounding this place any minute now. I hear Raihan say, as my aura finally triggers. I am filled with the power of Alola, the power of my soul coming out. I walk towards the two chained women and begin to heal their wounds by touching their faces. I feel something warm slide down my face and realize that I am crying. This is all my fault. I caused this by not stopping them sooner. I caused this by being weak. I caused this by surviving their attacks. More tears fall as I pull out a Pokeball. Mutwo, I need your assistance. I say, throwing the Pokeball forward. Mutwo snaps out and grabs the two chained to the wall. Get them somewhere safe, but make sure to come back. I say as he nods and glows, vanishing from the dungeon. They are in the dungeon. Repeat, they have entered the dungeon. I hear someone say in the hall as I turn and grab another Pokeball. Jangmo-o, Roulette, take them down. I say as my first and second Alolan Pokémon appear and speed towards the guards who all begin to call out Pokémon of their own. Duraludon, Dreadnought, Dragonite. Give them a hand and take out any that escape. I hear my allies behind me say as their Pokémon all rush forward and begin to take on Pokémon that the guards had called out. Jurger, Alchemy, give them a hand. I hear two other people say from behind the guards as I see Morty and an older woman appear on the steps and two bright lights appear as two more Pokémon appear and begin to battle guards who are trying to escape the back way. The guards' Pokémon begin to feint left and right as wild attacks begin to force them to the center of the hall. Eventually, they all fell unconscious from most of their Pokémon being defeated. Lance, Raihan, Nessa, Morty, and the old women began to put HNDCFFS on the guards. That is about 30 more taken down. We need to get moving if we have any hope of finding anyone else. Lance says as I nod and begin to run up the stairs. Rowlet and Jangmo right behind me. Intruders have entered 4th floor labs. Personnel are to split into groups and deal with both intruders. I hear over the intercom, and we finally make it onto the 4th floor. As I was about to enter the hall, I quickly jumped back as a bunch of wild Pokémon stampeded through the hall, and then an Ursaring ran by and punched a female Groudon trainer not too far away, saying, Papa Bear said that beach was too conscious. Oh, Lance, sorry, didn't see you guys there. Just cleared out the lab. I look at the guy and realize he looks kinda like an undercover agent, but without the badge. Steel, allow me to introduce Ash Ketchum. Ash, this is Steel Stone, a cousin of Steven and Hoenn. He provided transport for the basic team to get here to the paradise. Now then, we should keep moving. Steel, did you see anyone with blue or blonde hair in the lab? Lance says as Raihan and Nessa begin to handcuff the unconscious guards. No, but I saw a woman by the name of Wick who told me that a kid named Gladion handed her this Pokeball and said to give it to an Ash Kukui. Steel says as I step forward. I am Ash Kukui. I was adopted by the professor here on the island. He nodded and handed me the Pokeball. It enlarged itself and I slid it into my bag. Type: Null added to Champion Kukui's Pokemon. Total Pokemon available for use 113. Yes, this does include all of his Taurus. So to tell you the number of species, that is 84 species of Pokemon. I hear my Pokédex chime out as I see a pink-haired lady and Gladion appear behind Steel. Steel Lab is cleared, and we are going to move up a level to continue the search for Miss Lily and Lizman. If anything changes, we will call you on the cross. Gladion says as he nods to me and runs down the hall again, the lady following close behind. I am going to follow them. You guys make it up to the 3rd level. I heard there was an experiment lab up there where they took a trial captain, something about Z-moves and ultra wormholes. No idea what that means. Steel says as I book it down the hall away from his heading north. Away from Gladion and the pink-haired lady. The others following me. Nessa, almost right on my heels. Ash, what is your plan? Apparently there are sensors at each of the labs or dungeons. What do you plan on doing? Nessa says as we begin to climb the stairs, going past the 3rd floor door. Raihan, Lance, check the 3rd floor. Anyone not Rocket that is looking to get out of here, help them out of the paradise. Lana or Lily won't be here. They'll be with Giovanni. He would have moved them to his office. He wants to guarantee that I will not kill him, so moving them there would give me a reason to keep him alive. The two nodded, and I continued to run up the stairs. We got to the 2nd floor, which was just the main entrance where rocket grunts were scattered everywhere. None of them conscious, as I see every other available gym leader making quick work of all the survivors. Intruders have entered the 3rd floor laboratory. All available personnel report to the lab to defend it. All personnel fighting on the 2nd floor. One of the intruders has been seen heading your way. Capture them. I hear someone on the intercom say as I look at Nessa, who laughs, and we press the button to head to the 1st floor conservation area. When we arrive, we see that I was right about Giovanni. Behind him were 3 girls chained to the wall. The first, without a doubt, was Lily. Her clothes were in almost perfect condition. All but her hat, which was burned and singed. Next to her was a child no more than 5. She was snuffling and sobbing. You could see from her face she was in pain, and this just made my blood boil even more. Next to the child was Lana. Her clothes were just missing. Her bra was covered in slash marks, like she was flailed or whipped recently. No doubt she was unconscious. You are always a thorn in my side. You and your brother, how my son produced 2 kids that are so obnoxious I will never know. Giovanni, says as he turns to me. Giovanni. I growl out as he smirks. In the flesh, grandson. He says to me as we both grab Pokeballs. This was no longer a battle for the life of Team Rocket. This was a battle for the lives of the ones I loved. Chapter 12. You fall, I rise. Ash, POV. Venusaur, take him down. I yell as I throw his Pokeball forward. Nidoking, shake the ground. Giovanni says as he throws the purple poison type out. Venusaur, start this off with Sunny Day. I say as my flower Pokemon charges a ball of pure fire-type energy in his mouth. Nidoking, Earth Power. Giovanni yells as glowing orange spires appear out of the ground. Venusaur Protect, then charge Solar Beam, but don't fire it, just like before. I say as Venusaur throws the green barrier up protecting himself from the Earth Power and begins to charge the solar energy in his mouth, forming a ball of the energy. Nidoking, break the barrier. Poison Jab. Giovanni yells as the dinosaur-like poison type rushes forward. Its arms glowing purple with the poisonous energy. When it reaches the barrier, Nidoking begins to bash and pound on it trying to shatter it. Venusaur, here we go. Solar Energy Ball. I say as Venusaur swallows the ball of solar energy. Then began to gather a ball of green energy in his mouth. As it gathered, small amounts of yellow solar energy began to bleed into the ball. Fire. I say as the ball is launched from Venusaur's mouth, who had dropped the barrier just in time. Nidoking takes the attack directly in the chest and is launched back, skidding across the ground and connecting with the wall behind Giovanni, shaking it, waking up Lily, who began to panic. I needed Mutwo to hurry up and get here. Chosen One, call me out. I can get the 3 of them back to Melee before Giovanni can blink. I hear Latios say in my head, all right, but you're going to have to get out on your own. I say back as I put my bag on the ground and let things happen. Venusaur, Petal Blizzard, they can't be allowed to see. I say as the flower of Venusaur's back began to release its petals in a small tornado before blasting forward. Giovanni covered his face, and it was at that moment that Latios broke out of his Pokeball and blasted off, moving towards the girls. I lost sight of him in the Petal Blizzard, but the sound of someone screaming told me that they had been grabbed. All right, Giovanni, no more holding back. Bring out your strongest Pokemon. I want to show you how you messed up. I say as I grab Charizard's Pokeball. I like your spunk, kid. All right, Mew3, let's go. He yells as what appears to be a green Mutwo appears in front of me. Charizard, show everyone the traitors were wrong. I yell out, throwing the Pokeball forward. It snaps open and my Dragonic Pokemon appears. Mew3, and this quickly Psystrike. Giovanni says as the green Mutwo charges psychic energy in his hands and flings it forward. Charizard, Inferno to counter. Follow up with Dragon's Breath. I say as Charizard builds the blue flames in his mouth. The fire spews from Charizard's mouth and seems to absorb the power of the Psystrike and becomes more powerful. The Psystrike finally vanishes and the now almost violet flames barrel through Mew3. It cries out in pain and seems to scream. Then came the Dragon's Breath. It consumed Mew3, covering him in the green energy. Mew3, shake it off, Aura Sphere. Giovanni says as the green Mutwo flexes and breaks the Dragon's Breath away. Charizard, Thunder Punch, send it back, then Flamethrower. I say as my aura surrounds me. Venusaur, Solar Beam, give Charizard some help. I say as Giovanni gets a shocked look as both the Flamethrower and Solar Beam combine in the air and begin to make a direct beeline for Mew3. Nido can get in front of Mew3, take the hit. Giovanni says in desperation as the purple dinosaur Pokemon tries to move only for a Blastoise to knock him down again. Keep it up, Blastoise, keep those two separated. I hear Gary say behind me, thanks, brother. I say as he nods to me. Then an idea comes to my head. Venusaur, Charizard, catch. I yell out as I throw 2 Mega Stones to both of them. If regular attacks were going to do damage, Mega Evolution Z moves would be something it couldn't counter. Alright, here we go, you two. Reach beyond evolution. Reach for the forest spirit. Call to the dragon inside. Venusaur, Charizard, Mega Evolve. I yell out as I am surrounded in my aura energy and Venusaur and Charizard and surrounded in a pink energy. The pink energy shatters and reveals Venusaur and Charizard X in their mega forms. You think that you are the only one that can do that? I am afraid you are wrong. A grunt runs over to Giovanni with a 0-0-0-0 intent to rebuild. Proton says from his spot next to the leader of Team Rocket, "Never. He is here now, and him and his friends too. If we go out, so be it." Giovanni says as one of the grunts turn their guns onto Nessa and pulls the trigger. I instantly jump in front of her and surround myself in my aura, praying that it protects her at the least. I hear the bullet crunch against something, and as I look up, I see a large red claw had reached over us. Chosen One, you need to be more careful. I am not going to be around to protect you next time. I hear Groudon say in my head as he moves his claw, and I stand back up. Giovanni, you can attack me and you can shoot me, but the moment that you attack my friends, you sign your warrant. I say as the legends turn to the people and knock them away from me. Most falling unconscious, others injured but still conscious enough to say so. Still have some spunk, kid. Well, let's see what you got. Giovanni says as he is surrounded in a red aura. You got it. I say as my aura springs to life. However, before I can begin to move, Nessa pulls me back down to her height and brings me into a kiss. When she pulls away, she looks me in the eyes with tears in those beautiful cerulean jewels of hers. You better not die out there. I just got you back. She says as I nod. I am surrounded in my own red aura that fuses with the others surrounding me. I begin to feel a little more determined, like I was never going to fail again. When we get back to Melee Island, you and I are going on a date. Anything you want, I say as she nods to me with a cute little blush on her face. I gain my own before I launch myself at Giovanni and meet him halfway before our fists connect, creating a sonic blast. The blast ripped across the floor and knocked more people unconscious. The blast knocks the two of us back and brings us to our knees. We both get back up and launch at each other. Ash, just hold him off for a little. G-men have been seen just 2 minutes out. I hear in my earpiece as well as the sound of a plane engine. I launch myself again and slam my elbow into Giovanni's chest, launching him back a small amount. I then followed it up with a palm strike to his chest once more and watched as his breath hitched. He was definitely starting to feel these attacks. I just needed to stop him long enough so that the G-men could arrest him. I knew they were safe, and if it was enough for me. Well done, grandson, well done. Haven't had a fight like this since your brother challenged me. Giovanni says as he rushes me only for me to catch his hand on my own. This is where me and my brother differ. I have something to fight for. I say as I blast Giovanni in the chest with something that was similar to the aura sphere Lucario and Togekiss use and watch as the sphere blasts through his chest. No hole left, no nothing, just Giovanni, losing his red aura and falling to his knees. He wasn't dead, just simply unconscious. When I had hit him with my aura, it drained what aura he had. The grunts backed off. Even Proton froze, which gave the G-men enough time to break down the door and begin to incapacitate the grunts and arrest the remaining admins. It was long enough and to allow for someone to grab me and stop me from going farther. It's over you one time. Groudon just explained everything to us. I hear Nessa say as my aura deactivates. Let's clear this place and get out of here. Any Pokémon, bring them to Ash. He will be able to understand them. I hear some of the G-men say as Team Rocket begins to be escorted out of the building. As they're about to escort Giovanni away, I put my hand up telling them to stop. Giovanni, when you rot in your cell, I want you to remember that today is the day that you fell and I rose. I say as I wave the G-men forward. All grunts are accounted for. One of the admins are missing, Mrs. Leona Sky. She wasn't in any of the rooms in the Paradise, and there is a missing ship in the docks. Lance says as I nod. Kukui just called and said that Mutwo was able to get them all to the cabin, and he has begun treatment. He even called Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny to the house to perform our PE kits. Hao says as he pats me on the back. Sir, you are going to want to see this. I hear someone behind me say, as we all turn and see a guard with his hand on a large metal door. Like the ones in school, a single glass window that was tinted was the only way to see in. We all walk over and open the door farther. Hao even opened the door that shared the frame. Lance, we're going to need some help here, I say as he just nods in shock. All along the walls of the entryway of this room were pokeballs. Each pokeball was like nothing I had ever seen before. The top of the pokeball was black and had a purple capital R on it. I shiver as I realize that I knew what these were. They were the perfect pokeball. Giovanni had finally built the pokeball that would make Team Rocket great at stealing Pokémon. Lance, do not under any circumstances let a Pokémon touch those. Do not let anyone catch a Pokémon with those, I say as I begin to walk out towards the ranch area. And Lance, you are going to need OT readers and PC operators here as soon as possible. Me and Hal will begin to try and gather the Pokémon into their respective types, I say as Hao RNS over to as well as Raihan and Nessa. We are also going to help. I saw some Galarian Pokémon in there, Raihan says. The ranch area appeared to be huge. Pokémon from all shapes and sizes lived in the ranch area. Alright, I want the four of us to gather Pokémon of the pure category of typing. For example, if there is a Pikachu, he is a pure electric type. Raihan, based on your clothing colors and the badge that you wear on your keychain, you're a dragon specialist, so I want you to focus on dragon, dark, steel, and ground-type Pokémon. Lead them away from the rest of the Pokémon, if you have to use your own Pokémon to calm them down. Nessa, based on what I remember of you, you train water types, so I want you to gather the water, grass, rock, and ice types into an area. Use what you can use to calm them if they begin to get aggressive or wander off. Giovanni was not known for his intelligent Pokémon, I say as both break off from the group and begin to gather Pokémon. Oh, if they have the types I gave you as a first type according to the Pokédex, gather them as well. This will allow us to gather the dual types, I say as they both nod. How I need you to gather fire, electric, bug, normal, and flying types. Same way as I told the other two, you and me are gathering the most because there are 18 types, and it appears that Giovanni's strongest Pokémon appear to be in the other 8 types, so your job will really be to see what we are dealing with and when the specialists do when they get here. Hao nods and begins to gather the Pokémon. I gather the remaining: grass, fighting, fairy, psychic, ghost, and poison. 2.5 hours later, Raihan and I threw in the towel. Most of the Pokémon were very aggressive, and some were even too scared to approach us. Nessa was able to get a Milotic and Dreadnought to calm, but that doesn't mean that she could get close to them. Hao was able to get a Piku to follow him around at least. Lance, please tell me you have the professionals here, I say as I groan a little bit. He nods, and 5 to 6 people walk
In.
Each of them wearing a white lab coat with tail and a PC device with them. Turns out Gladion and Lily both have their stored Pokémon transferred here, as this is their home, and Mrs. Wick sends them out to them. Lance says as he sits down with me and Raihan. So, what's the plan for these Pokémon, Lance? Some of them look like they have been under Giovanni's control for decades, Raihan says as he looks at them. We were able to at the least get a count on the ones we saw. There were over 150 different species here in this safe area. Some were with their regional variants, others just had extremely rare abilities. Well, seeing as they all were owned by another trainer, they cannot be released into the wild, so if the trainer is no longer alive, we will take them to a daycare center or even back to base and see about finding them a home this way, Lance says as the PC operators and OT machines begin to power up fully. They appear to be ready, so let's get to work. We will have to do this one at a time, so I hope you guys are ready for a long couple days, Lance says as I nod and stand. Alright, we're going to go about this in a weird way, Lance says as I nod. Ash is going to go and lead the Pokémon to this platform, Lance says, pointing to a machine with a grib-like platform. This is a scanner, and will tell us everything about the Pokémon on it, and it will be painless to the Pokémon. We will be able to find out the OT for the Pokémon, and then we can move on to getting in contact with the Trainers League official and finding out where to send the Pokémon. However, should the trainer be labeled as deceased or missing, we will have someone hold onto the Pokémon until next of kin can be found. Lance says as other people walk into the room, gym leaders from other regions, a couple of the champions, and even some Elite Four. How Raihan, Nessa, and everyone behind me will act as guardian angels to Ash, or be working on getting a hold of the OT. If a Pokémon begins to show signs of aggression, then we are to see about getting the Pokémon away from Ash. Everyone nods, and I move into the field. Ash, can you hear me? I hear on the earpiece and click it twice. Alright, since yelling may startle the Pokémon, we're going to communicate with you via your earpiece. Now then, see about luring that Galarian Rapidash over here. Lance says as I click it once for confusion. Right, you have no idea what that looks like. See that unicorn with a pink and white mane, lure it here. I click it twice for understanding and walk over to the Pokémon. Upon approach, I see that the Rapidash is very beautiful and seems to know it itself. It walked with vein that I would give to a Pokémon that once belonged to royalty. Hey there. I say to the Pokémon in a calm manner. The Rapidash turns to me and takes a couple steps towards me. You are not my trainer, who are you? I hear in my head, as I realize this Rapidash must have been part psychic type. I am someone who is here to help you find your trainer. Do you remember their name, or even if they are in this region? I say as I reach my hand out and begin to slide the Rapidash's mane. I do this in a calming manner and seems to help the Pokémon relax. It had been so long since I have been by her side. I have seen 3 winters since then, but I remember her name, Hannah, a girl no older than 22. She was training for her gym challenge in the Galar region, her home region. She had taken on so many before and made it close, but never was able to get past the 3rd round of the league. The Pokémon says as I begin to lead it towards the OT machine. Tell you what, we will try and find her for you, but to do that I need you to step onto the machine. This will help us find your Hannah. I say as she nods and follows me to the platform. Beginning search, Rapidash, level 52. Psychic Fairy type, knows a total of 25 moves, and is very well trained. Here she is, Hannah Crawford, Galar region, 22 from Wedgehurst. One of the doctors says as Rapidash begins to get excited hearing this. Then an alarm goes off. I freeze. Please don't make me a liar. I say in my head as the doctors look at the screen with grim expressions. Deceased, murdered 3 years ago last winter, killed by a rocket member outside of Wedgehurst Station. The doctor reads out, and I collapse to the ground. No, please don't be true, please. She wasn't that much older than me. She had the same dream I did. Please don't be true. Please tell me that this isn't true. Tell me this might be an error. I begin to say as the Rapidash begins to panic, stomping her hooves and bucking back and forth. We can double-check, but these records come directly from the Pokédex, which is linked to the trainer's pulse the moment that they receive it. If it was to no longer read the pulse or be destroyed, then the likelihood is that the trainer is dead. The doctor says as Rapidash just stops fighting and simply falls to its legs. So, she might still be alive. She may still be looking for me. I hear her say, as I turn to Lance, and he shakes his head. He heard her too, and we now both knew what may be the only answer, that Hannah Crawford fought with her attackers to protect her Pokémon, that she fought a losing battle because she cared for her Pokémon like I would. Like I did. But she had fallen to the shot. Ash, I'm afraid it's true. I remember this case. Open and shut. The grunt was executed a year ago. I hear Raihan say, as everything shuts down. I crumple to the ground. She was only 22. She had her whole life ahead of her. Rapidash, I am so sorry. I lied to you. I didn't know. Please forgive me. I say as I begin to slide her mane. I see teams that seem to have a pink hue to them fall from the unicorn's eyes. She would have been 26 this year. She had a loving family and a brilliant boyfriend. She would have loved to meet you, another trainer with her same dream. I looked through your memories, sorry.
She says,
as more tears fall from her eyes. Lance, I can't do this again. This was the first Pokémon. Giovanni was evil, heartless. He had one vision, absolute power, and he always said he would achieve it any way he could. Murder was not out of the question. How many trainers did he kill and take Pokémon from? I say, as he only nods to me. Ash, I understand your pain, but out of all of us, you are the greatest at calming Pokémon. I won't force you, but I have to ask that you try to push past this. He says as I look at Rapidash, then to Nessa. Ash, is that your name? I hear the Rapidash say as I look at her and nod. Listen to me, Ash. Just because my trainer was taken from me doesn't mean that others had similar fates. Help them gain closure. Help them find their humans. I will find a new way. Rapidash says as I begin to cry a little. I will try for the Pokémon, but Lance, you are to find her next of kin. Lance nods and I stand up and look out to the Pokémon in the field. After a long 2 hours, I was able to calm and lure 90 different Pokémon to the platform. I also found out that Hannah had many different Pokémon here. 10 of the 90 that I was able to lure to the platform after Rapidash were hers. A beautiful shiny Milotic that had been with her since she started her journey nearly 10 years prior to be locked up in the ranch. Similar to Rapidash, the Milotic had traveled through the 5 stages in mere minutes. Then there was the Dusknoir, Porygon 2, and Magnezone that all didn't seem to understand. They all seemed to still be very young despite being in their final stages. A Bolthound, who simply laid down at my feet and began to howl. He was given to Hannah by her grandfather, who died the following year. A caste form that only knew Hail and Weatherball. It was also very young. It seemed to be more confused than understanding of what was going on. Your trainer. She didn't survive the attack. Lance said to it as it just shook its head more. This one was hatched a month before the attack. Rapidash says to me, and it all makes sense to me. It wasn't close to Hannah. She must have been trying to bond with it. This only made me angrier. This one was so young. But then I realized something. Why did Giovanni want with this caste form? Giovanni must have thought you were strong. Or good for a weather experiment. I whisper to myself as I just shrug and look to the last Pokémon. A powerful 3-headed pseudo-legendary Pokémon called Hydreigon. It looked to me and simply nodded. Ash. He says he wants to come with you to become stronger to complete her dream. We all do for Hannah. So please, Ash, accept us onto your team. Help us to become champion Pokémon so that we can complete her dream. I hear Rapidash say in my head, and I look at all 10 of them. I will accept all of you, and we will train to become stronger, and we will take the Alola League by storm and become champions. I say, and they let off noises of excitement, and Lance looks at me and smiles. So, you're going to take on these guys, huh? Well, let's see if we can find their Pokeballs. Lance says as he enters the entryway once more and begins to collect the hundreds of Pokeballs with the rocket insignia on it. The doctors began to place the Pokeballs onto the PC device and scan them, eventually finding the 10 Pokeballs and breaking the seals, returning them to their original stats. 3 Pokeballs, 2 Great Ball, an Ultra Ball, and a couple others I couldn't recognize. I quickly return them to the respective Pokeball and thank them as I place the Pokeball in my bag. How about it, Ash? Think you can help us with the last of the Pokemon? One of the doctors says as he points to the field. I nod and go back to helping to gather the Pokemon back onto the platform. 2 weeks later. Ash POV. It was a long 2 weeks, but we were able to get all of the Pokemon either to a new home or back to their trainers. Including a day where we had to take a break just to recover mentally and emotionally. Giovanni had stolen over 600 Pokemon and murdered over 200 people to get their Pokemon. That wasn't even counting the ones stolen from Poke Centers and ranches. After enough time, all the Pokemon whose trainers could be found. They were all returned to their trainers, all had happy reunions. Those that still had trainers, those whose trainers were still alive. However, there were still those that no longer had trainers. Many who could Mega Evolve who had their stones were ones that needed trainers. Most went to trainers who specialize in their types, or had another of the same species. I received a couple myself, actually a Galade that was agile and sharp, a Gardevoir that needed a trainer to bond to, an Aerodactyl that once belonged to a scientist in the field of fossil revival. Their trainers were all murdered by Giovanni's men, and they took the Pokemon to give to Giovanni's cause. But that wasn't where things ended. Other Pokemon from trainers that were killed, or were dead from other reasons. They were here as well. There was a Beware that seemed to have been a P1 fighter. There was a Braviary that was a rare find on Route 4 of the Unova region. 2 Pikachu that came from 2 different regions. One from Alola, just outside the paradise. This one was a wild Pokémon, with no ties to anyone, that Giovanni abused for power. Same with the other, a Pikachu from Sinnoh. They both quickly joined my team. It was definitely going to take some time to get used to both of them. When it was all done and over with, I gathered my friends, both old and new, and said goodbye. I wanted to thank all of you for what you did for me. Even if it was to take down Team Rocket. You still helped me to save my girls and to help me gain my new friends. I say as I call out Latios. Hey big guy. Listen, I know I haven't called on you, but things have been crazy, so now I get to spend as much time as possible with you now. I say as he nods and makes happy noises. Hey Ash. I am coming with you. The Galar Gym Challenge doesn't start for a couple of months, so I am on vacation. Nessa says as she walks over and kisses me on the lips. And I have this new boyfriend who owes me and a couple others a date night. Nessa says as she climbs onto the back of Latios. I nod and pull out Latios' Mega Stone and attract it to the bracer Kukui had built for him. All right, bud. I can handle your speed, but no crazy stunts. Extra passenger. I say, and he nods. I climb on in front of Nessa and make sure she is holding on tight to my midsection. Now listen, Latios has been clocked at speeds over 5,000 miles an hour. This is an estimate, as in a Pokédex entry it states that Latios can go faster than a jet plane, which is roughly 4,500 miles per hour, so I just gave this number a 500 miles per hour bump as it makes the most sense. So hang on tight and never let go. I say as she nods. Just before we take off, I have enough time to think that I am the man in the world. Then I go deaf. When we made it back to the lab, I had officially lost hearing in one ear from Nessa's screaming in excitement. Nessa jumped off while she recovered from the flight. So before we go on a date, I have to do a couple things, but I can show you where I sleep and where you can store Pokémon. I say as I open the door only to be tackled by what appeared to be a red, blue, green, and blonde bombshell. Nessa also jumped on top of me and joined the hug. My girls all hugged me close and refused to let go. I smiled as I really was the luckiest man in all of Alola. Pokémon captured. Dartrix approximately level 30. Leafage, Astonish, Growl, Tackle, Peck, Foresight, Ominous Wind, Shadow Sneak, Razor Leaf, Synthesis, Pluck, Nasty Plot, Sucker Punch, Leaf Blade, Steel Wing, Giga Drain, Solar Beam, Sunny Day, Shadow Claw, Energy Ball, Seed Bomb, Grass Pledge, Egg Move, Unlocked, Haze, Baton Pass, Spite, Alolan, Vulpix approximately level 30, Powder Snow, Tail Whip, Disable, Ice Shard, Spite, Icy Wind, Confuse Ray, Aurora Beam, Extrasensory, Dazzling Gleam, Draining Kiss, Hail, Hex Ice Beam, Iron Tail, Foul Play, Dark Pulse, Egg Move, Moon Blast, Hypnosis, Hakamo'o, approximately level 40. Leer, Tackle, Protect, Dragon Tail, Scary Face, Headbutt, Work Up, Screech, Iron Defense, Dragon Claw, Noble Roar, Dragon Dance, Automize, Draco Meteor, Scale Shot, Shadow Claw, Bulldoze, Brutal Swing, Payback, Brick Break, Aerial Ace, Focus Blast, Dragon Pulse, Egg Move, Unlocked, Counter, Dragon Breath, Focus Punch, Lycanroc, Dusk, approximately level 40, Accelerock, Counter, Crush Claw, Double Team, Endure, Leer, Quick Attack, Quick Guard, Reversal, Sand Attack, Sucker Punch, Tackle, Taunt, Rock Throw, Howl, Bite, Rock Tomb, Roar, Rock Slide, Rock Climb, Lash Out, Giga Impact, Rock Slide, Protect, Brick Break, Rock Blast, Iron Tail, Iron Head, Play Rough, Stone Edge, Egg Move, Unlocked, Thunder Fong, Fire Fong, Toucanon approximately level 30, Peck, Growl, Echoed Voice, Rock Smash, Supersonic, Pluck, Roost, Fury, Attack, Screech, Drill Peak, Rock Blast, Beak Blast, Seed Bomb, Hyper Voice, Smackdown, Aerial Ace, Flame Charge, Flash Cannon, Egg Move, Unlocked, Bullet Seed, Boom Burst, Brave Bird, Tailwind, Crabrawler approximately level 25. Bubble, Rock Smash, Leer, Pursuit, Bubble Beam, Power Up Punch, Dizzy Punch, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Dual Chop, Earthquake, Brick Break, Rock Tomb, Ice Beam, Payback, Brutal Swing, Frost Breath, Rock Slide. Egg Move, unlocked. Focus Blast, Wide Guard, Amnesia. Mimikyu, approximately level 45. Astonish, Copycat, Scratch, Splash, Wood Hammer, Shadow Sneak, Double Team, Baby Doll Eyes, Mimic, Hone Claws, Slash, Shadow Claw. Egg Move, unlocked. Play Rough. Grudge, Destiny Bond, Nightmare. Torracat, approximately level 30. Growl, Scratch, Ember, Lick, Roar, Fury Swipes, Bite, Double Kick, Fire Fong, Scary Face, Swagger, Flamethrower, Acrobatics, Shadow Claw, Will-O-Wisp, Outrage, Leech Life, Crunch. Egg Move, unlocked. Power Trip, Parting Shot, Fake Out. Vaporeon, approximately level 35. Covet, Growl, Helping Hand, Tackle, Tail Whip, Sand Attack, Baby Doll Eyes, Swift, Bite, Copycat, Baton Pass, Water Gun, Haze, Quick Attack, Water Pulse, Aurora Beam, Aqua Ring, Flip Turn, Giga Impact, Dig, Icy Wind, Retaliate, Ice Beam. Egg Move, unlocked. Curse, Double Kick, Mud Slap, Wish, and Yawn. Flareon, approximately level 35. Covet, Growl, Helping Hand, Tackle, Tail Whip, Sand Attack, Baby Doll Eyes, Swift, Bite, Copycat, Baton Pass, Ember, Quick Attack, Smog, Fire Fong, Fire Spin, Burning Jealousy, Scorching Sands, Giga Impact, Dig, Mystical Fire, Flamethrower, Iron Tail, Heat Wave. Egg Move, unlocked. Curse, Double Kick, Mud Slap, Wish, and Yawn. Jolteon, approximately level 35. Covet, Growl, Helping Hand, Tackle, Tail Whip, Sand Attack, Baby Doll Eyes, Swift, Bite, Copycat, Baton Pass, Thundershock, Quick Attack, Thunder Wave, Double Kick, Thunderfong, Pin Missile, Rising Voltage, Body Slam, Thunderbolt, Thunder, Iron Tail, Shadow Ball, Electro Ball, Wild Charge. Egg Move, unlocked. Curse, Flail, Mud Slap, Wish, and Yawn. Espeon, approximately level 35. Covet, Growl, Helping Hand, Tackle, Tail Whip, Sand Attack, Baby Doll Eyes, Swift, Bite, Copycat, Baton Pass, Confusion, Quick Attack, Psybeam, Morning Sun, Power Swap, Expanding Force, Giga Impact, Reflect, Light Screen, Trick Room, Magic Room, Psychic, Retaliate, Dazzling Gleam. Egg Move, unlocked. Curse, Double Kick, Mud Slap, Wish, and Yawn. Leafeon, approximately level 35. Covet, Growl, Helping Hand, Tackle, Tail Whip, Sand Attack, Baby Doll Eyes, Swift, Bite, Copycat, Baton Pass, Razor Leaf, Leech Seed, Magical Leaf, Synthesis, Sunny Day, Grassy Glide, Giga Impact, Solar Beam, Solar Blade, Giga Drain, Dig, Bullet Seed, Retaliate, Swords Dance, Iron Tail, Leaf Blade, X-Scissor, Seed Bomb, Energy Ball, Shadow Ball. Egg Move, unlocked. Curse, Double Kick, Mud Slap, Wish, and Yawn. Glacian, approximately level 35. Covet, Growl, Helping Hand, Tackle, Tail Whip, Sand Attack, Baby Doll Eyes, Swift, Bite, Copycat, Baton Pass, Icy Wind, Quick Attack, Ice Shard, Ice Fong, Hail, Triple Axle, Giga Impact, Dig, Protect, Weather Ball, Icicle Spear, Ice Beam, Iron Tail, Shadow Ball. Egg Move, unlocked. Curse, Double Kick, Mud Slap, Wish, and Yawn. Salazzle, approximately level 40. Poison Gas, Scratch, Smog, Ember, Disable, Encore, Fire Lash, Knock Off, Pound, Swagger, Torment, Poison Fong, Sweet Scent, Nasty Plot, Incinerate, Venoshock, Dragon Pulse, Toxic, Flamethrower, Leech Life, Iron Tail, Dragon Claw, Corrosive Gas, Protect, Will-O-Wisp, Payback, Shadow Claw, Cross Poison, Breaking Swipe. Egg Move, unlocked. Fake Out, Belch, Mud Slap. Lurantis, approximately level 40. Fury Cutter, leafage, growth, ingrain, razor leaf, sweet scent, slash, X scissor, synthesis, leaf blade, dual chop, night slash, petal blizzard, solar beam, giga impact, magical leaf, giga drain, payback, fling, cross poison, grassy terrain, sword dance, poison jab, energy ball, X scissor. Egg move, unlocked, solar blade. Dupiter approximately level 25. Bubble, sticky web, string shot, water pulse. Fury cutter. Egg move, power split, stockpile, locked. Cutie fly, approximately level 25. Absorb, sweet scent, switcheroo, fairy wind, draining kiss, struggle bug. Egg move, aromatic mist, moonblast, sticky web, locked. Sylveon, approximately level 40. Covet, growl, helping hand, tackle, tail whip, sand attack, baby doll eyes, swift, bite, copycat, baton pass, disarming voice, quick attack, light screen, draining kiss, misty terrain, skill swap, misty explosion, giga impact, magical leaf, dig, mystical fire, play rough, dazzling gleam. Egg move, unlocked. Curse, double kick, mud slap, wish and yawn. Umbreon approximately level 40. Covet, growl, helping hand, tackle, tail whip, sand attack, baby doll eyes, swift, bite, copycat, baton pass, snarl, quick attack, confuse ray, assurance, moonlight, guard swap, dark pulse, lashar, dig, toxic, protect, giga impact, payback, psychic, crunch, shadow ball, throat chop. Egg move, unlocked. Curse, double kick, mud slap, wish and yawn. Type, null approximately level 25. Imprison, tackle, aerial ace, scary face, double hit, metal sound, crush claw, terrain pulse egg moves, NA. Circuitry approximately level 55. Power whip, hypnosis, spark, eclectic terrain, ion deluge, eerie impulse, wrap, tail glow, spark, signal beam, dazzling gleam, rest, sleep talk, brutal swing. Toxic, sunny day, solar beam, thunder punch, snore, energy ball. Returned Pokemon. Mother, none. Gary, Taurus. X30, Sceptile. Infernape, Torterra, Meganium, Mook. Serena, Venusaur, Samurott, Totodile, Hawlucha, Buziel, Levany. Misty, Palpitoad, Kingler, Corphish, Scraggy, Boldore, Snivy. Max, Snorlax, Charizard, Blastoise, Glisker, Crocodile, Talonflame. Iris, Garchomp, Noivern, Staraptor. Celian, Donphan, Unpheasant, Glalie. Dawn, Hercross, Noctowl, Pignite. May, Clava. Tracy, Torkoal, Swellow. Returned on their own. Greninja, Gudra, Ambipom, Haunter, Lapras.
Pidgeot.
Legendary. Captured. Mutwo.
Mew. Marshadal.
Darkrai. Latios.
Heatran.
Raikou.
Sukkun. Entei.
Reshiram. Zekrom. Shalebi. Manaphy. Pokemon given to him by Tobias. Charizard. Agron. Tyranitar.
Salamence.
Garchomp. Returned by remaining friendly rivals. Butterfree.
Beedrill.
Tyranitar. Absol. Unknown G. Given to him by Harrison. Torchic. Given to him by Corna. Lucario. Captured on Paradise. Galarian Rapidash. Milotic. Dusknoir. Porygon 2. Magnezone. Boltund. Hydreigon.
Castform.
Frostlass.
Mamoswine.
Sinnoh, Pikachu. Alola, Pikachu. Gardevoir.
Galade.
Aerodactyl. Shiny, Braviary.
Beware.
Z Crystals. Normalium Z. Snorlium Z. Evium Z.
Phytinium Z.
Waterium Z. Furium Z. Gracium Z. Marshadium Z. Munium Z. And that's Master to Legend, from a kid left for dead in a forest, to a champion standing tall in Alola with a new family, a rebuilt soul, and a team of Pokemon stronger than anyone ever gave him credit for. If you enjoyed this Alola fanfiction, let me know in the comments what part hit you the hardest. Drop a like if you want to see more stories like this, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Thanks for watching Master to Legend, all the way through. See you in the next one.